of like your struggles and your trauma.
Yeah, I think that's possible as well. It's like, you hear like old people talk about like, oh, people have it so easy these days, like they don't appreciate what they have. But like you can't blame necessarily the people for having an easier life, but I do think that there is something that's lost if you're unable to like go through the process of like an unfun act, Like instant gratification will get boring, I think, right?
I agree, but the flip side of instant gratification doesn't have to be intentionally inflicting trauma on people in order to enrich their lives or whatever.
I guess, yeah, I would never say intentionally inflict trauma on people, I guess. But like it's just it's hard to imagine someone who has experienced little to no trauma or pain having an a realistic outlook on the world, right?
Shit, I just had a big lightning thing. I'm sorry, say that one more time.
It would be hard for someone who experiences like little to no friction in life having a realistic outlook on the world, even if they know that something is bad or that they can like work against it. It wouldn't be like a realistic representation of like what people
I mean,
actually
like I said, I
experience.
understand what you're saying. I don't think the trade-off is worth it. I think you can become well-rounded. I think you can read. I think you can become empathetic. You can be compassionate. You can talk to people. I don't think you have to necessarily experience. Like, it might be good for some people in society to have that experience, for others to draw wisdom from. But I don't think we all need to have all these traumatizing experiences to be compassionate with other people. Otherwise, there's like an infinite amount of like traumatizing experiences we can all go through to become like more well-rounded. Like everybody should be like a child sex slave. Everybody should be sold into slavery. Everybody should be like a war, combat veteran. There's way too many of those experiences to collect, and like 80% of people won't even fully recover from them. So it's just like a horrible, like yeah. I don't know. I don't think that's
Yeah, I would agree with most of what you're saying. I think that like um I guess the question or the thought process that I was going through was like how much how much friction is needed for someone to be well-rounded versus how much pleasure needs to be like withheld from that friction.
Well,
Like
you keep saying
if
friction. I think friction is really important to make a person well-rounded, but friction doesn't mean traumatized. I think like friction can be like having to study a lot for a test or having to overcome, physical struggle to do well in an athletic event or practicing an instrument a lot. Like these are like friction things. Friction doesn't have to be like, my dad was brutally murdered in front of me and I need to not be Batman now, or I got molested when I was a child and I need to forgive my uncle. Like friction doesn't have to be trauma. Like yeah, I don't think that
All right,
I don't think
here's
that
what we're gonna
removing all friction
do
in life is good, but I don't think the opposite to that is like traumatizing people.
at the
true.
beginning of this.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I guess for so like I'm a hardcore
See how
determinist as
much do I
well.
have to
So when
stuff? All right,
something
we're gonna
traumatic
turn this
happens in life
down.
to you, I feel like the best
Oh,
approach to it is
actually,
like what can you do with this like new
capture.
experience or information that pushes you into
Turn this down.
a better life, right? Like you can't change the
All
past,
right, I'm
but
gonna
you can
talk
change
to
the future.
Dronetek tonight.
So
We've already
you have
got it
some
all
right
set up,
tools
so it shouldn't not happen like it did last week.
and you have the right tools and processes,
Um, hey Fork.
you can take that and then move forward in a way
He's another
that
content creator.
pushes your personal growth
He's
or like
a very populist, very right wing content creator. Also, oftentimes drunk when I talk to him, so sometimes it becomes kind of boring. But yeah, well, we'll see. Um, so he wants to talk about have you in your super right wing, ultra conservative circles that I know you've been running in. Um, um, have y'all heard anything about the Best Buy manager training thing? It's super boring shit. So apparently, Best Buy launched this manager training that was only accepting Black and Latino and Pacific Islanders, and the right's mad about it. Apparently, is what I'm getting from it right now. Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess that's kind of it for that topic. I'm glad that you chose me. I have one other thing. Is that okay?
Manager
Just not a big
program.
Well,
Actually, I'm
is it fine if
curious
I
about
just play
this.
experimental music, or is it just kind of like it's too abrasive?
too abrasive, I guess. Yeah, it just doesn't do it for me.
Say that again. He's populist. I mean, he gets a bigger audience than I do, but I don't get any audience, so yeah. Manager. Lizzo, where she was fat shaming her backup dancers. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but if it is true that she was like fat shaming them or any type of body shaming that her backup dancers, that's so hypocritical. It's like a panel debate of mostly right wing people, and then there's me. Let me see if I could just send it to you. Actually, that's the least interesting thing. He wants to talk about Ukraine. He wants to talk about um, uh, Eric Adams, who's the mayor of New York. He's just going around talking about immigration and the right's trying to use him as like, see, we were right all along when it comes to immigration, but like from what I've seen of him, it doesn't seem like he agrees with the right at all. Um, oh, really? What have you been up to? Have you gotten Baldur's Gate? Yeah, it's like the new hot game. Oh, okay. Um, is that a thing that happens in Baldur's Gate? That's a thing that happens in Baldur's Gate? Oh, maybe druids. Maybe druids can seduce people in their animal forms. I don't know. But it's like a D&D video game. Link. Oh, yeah, it's in the chill shit chat. Yep. Holy crap. 19% of America is Hispanic. Yeah, I didn't know it was that high. Mm. Some of them are probably identifying as white. Yeah. Like, Destiny's technically Hispanic, but he identifies as white. Well, the concept of race is stupid anyways. The concept of race is really dumb anyways. The only time it's ever useful is if there's any type of like medical difference between the races. But yeah, so like if especially if you're from Africa, but African Americans have a higher propensity for sickle cell anemia because malaria is so rampant in Africa. But people with sickle cell can't catch malaria. So a lot of people that don't have sickle cell ends up dying off from malaria. So malaria becomes more heavily represented in that population. I mean, sickle cell becomes more heavily represented in that population. Yeah. Wait, say that again. Yeah. Yep. No, that's definitely true. And if you like compare an African American to a Black American to an African American, they're probably going to be two totally different, types of people. Okay, when I say African American, I mean an American from Africa. Like my friends who are from an African country which I can never remember are African American, but even they came over when they were 2, so their mom would probably be more closely to what I'm talking about. Well, you don't really have to guess. You can just if you're curious, you're allowed to ask. He's coming in an hour. I see somebody talking about Gatorade, giving Gatorade to plants. Where are you seeing this? I don't. Oh, you're in Dronetek's Discord. Gotcha. Yeah, they don't start streaming until 8. 7:15. They'll stream in 45 minutes. I forget time zones or everything. They were talking about. Oh my gosh. Oh, fucking Bread posted this New York Post about a scientist who admits the overwhelming consensus on climate change crisis is manufactured, which that's the last thing that was being talked about. But like all she's really saying, well, actually, she's not even saying this. What they came to the conclusion of based on this was that the coverage on climate change is kind of hysterical in ways, which I don't disagree with, but like that doesn't mean we shouldn't do something about climate change. Yeah. So yeah, so I think that climate change is an incredibly big deal that we need to work on. But I wouldn't doubt if the media made it out to be even bigger deal than it actually is. But what the right has been saying, the right is changing its tune now, just saying that. But back in in the past, the right was saying, "Oh, climate change isn't even real. Like it's not a thing that's happening." And then it was humans aren't causing it. Um, have you seen the congressperson going into Congress with a snowball? Yeah. No. He did even. It was even dumber than what he. Hold on. Are you watching stream? Here, I'll stream it on Discord. Can you hear sound when I stream my uh frame rate, smoother video, chill shit? I don't know if you can hear the sound or not. Let me. I'm getting ready to play the video, so tell me if you can hear it. Yeah. Oh, he did throw it. But did you see what the point he was making was? Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that was a common talking point back in the day, back in mid 2000s, early to mid 2000s. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I wasn't a part of that. General or political? You said jailing or media? Because I remember the media one. Police? Huh. I don't remember that conversation. What is your opinion on it? The relationship between. Well, what's your opinion? Do you think there is a problem there? Do you think that like what's going on in your mind? Okay. Um, I think that there is definitely a racial disparity, and I think there's definitely a racial disparity in the amount of minorities that get jailed compared to white people. Um, I mean, you can see that in the statistics. I I I don't. A lot of that probably has to do with more minorities being in poorer, higher crime neighborhoods. Therefore, they're going to have more interactions with the police, and more interactions with the police is naturally going to lead to higher proportions of incarceration. Um, the reason why higher percentages of minorities end up in these poor crime-ridden neighborhoods probably dates back to at the very soonest back to the 60s when it was policy to put black people in poorer areas and allow only white people to get housing in more desirable areas. Um, yeah, go ahead. Um, you're I don't know. Hold on a second. How much more often do minorities? Because I know that there's a 1350 number, but that's only looking at violent crimes, which makes up a low proportion of people who are in prison, I believe. So, black Americans are incarcerated in state prisons across the country at nearly 5 times the rate of whites. So, in order for your argument to make sense, they would have to be committing 5 times the amount of crimes. Hold on. All right, this report details our observation of staggering disparities among Black and Latinx people in prison in the United States, given their overall representation in the general population. The latest available data regarding people sentenced to state prisons revealed that Black Americans are imprisoned at a rate that is roughly 5 times the rate of white Americans. During the present era of criminal justice reform, not enough emphasis has been focused on ending racial and ethnic disparities system-wide. So, do you think that like Black and Latinx people are Latinx? I don't even like that term. Do you think that Black and Latino people are committing crimes at 5 times the rate of white people? Do you, Do you believe this statistic? Because it's from sentenceproject.org. It's probably pretty biased. Uh, let's see if there's any more numbers. What rate are minorities jailed? Inmates from other races. Covers. Oh my goodness. Hold on 20 seconds. I need to plug my phone in. This one's longer. All right. Racial and ethnic makeup of U.S. prisoners continue to look substantially different from the demographics of the country wholesale. 2017, blacks represented 12% of the U.S. adult population, but 33% of the sentenced prison population. Whites accounted for 64% of adults, but 30% of prisoners. And while Hispanics represented 16% of the adult population, they accounted for 23% of the inmates. Another way of considering racial and ethnic differences in the nation's prison population by looking at the imprisonment rate, which tallies to the number of prisoners per 1,000 people. In 2017, there were 1,549 black prisoners for every 100,000 black adults, nearly 6 times the imprisonment rate for whites. Now, this is coming from Pew Research, and they're saying it's nearly 6 times. Huh? Hold on, I'm gonna paste it. I'm gonna. Okay. Another way of considering racial and ethnic differences in the nation's prison population is by looking at the imprisonment rate, which tallies the number of prisoners per 100,000 people. In 2017, there were 1,549 black prisoners for every 100,000 black adults, nearly 6 times the imprisonment rate for whites, which is 272 per 100,000 adults, and nearly double the rate for Hispanics, which is 823 per 100,000. It's in the chill shit chat. It's the Pew Research Center. If you control F, another way of considering, you'll get to the part of the article that I was reading from. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Do you know what if I said per capita stat, would you know what I'm talking about? So they look at the stats in a per capita manner. They're not looking at absolute numbers because it would make it would make sense if white people were being incarcerated more than black people because they make up a heavier proportion of the population. But that's just not the case. They're being incarcerated at 6 times per capita less than black people are per capita. And even like for the absolute numbers, considering black people make up 13% of the country, do you think that there are more individual black people doing jailable crimes than white people by a factor of what is that, 40,000? Do you think that like black people are just committing this much more crime than white people are? Okay. I mean, white people make up 60% of the country. So, like, even in absolute numbers, I wouldn't be surprised if there were more white people committing crimes, but just getting away with it more often than black people. Let's look at. Have you seen any? Have you seen any of these studies that talks about racial biases in juries? What do you think about those? I'll go ahead and post this one while I read it. Pew Research? I don't know. So the commission found that sentence lengths continue to be associated with some demographic factors. In particular, after controlling for a wide variety of sentencing factors, the commission found Black male offenders continue to receive longer sentences than similarly situated white male offenders. Black male offenders receive sentences on average 19.1% longer than similarly situated white male offenders during the post-report period, fiscal year 2012 to 2016, as they had for the prior period study. The differences in the sentence length remained relatively unchanged compared to the post-Gall period. So, do you accept that similarly situated black males tend to get longer sentences than their white counterparts? Okay. Basically, what it's saying is that when you're comparing two black males, tends to get longer sentences than white males in similar situations by 19.1%. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if there was similarly situated white males, I'm sure a lot of these white males probably are from poor neighborhoods and can't afford a good lawyer too. Well, I would imagine. So I don't know what they mean by similarly situated, but I would imagine that they will take criminal history at the very least into consideration. They have a public defender versus a private lawyer into consideration too. Why? So there are 475,900 black inmates in prison, 436,500 white inmates. You don't think that there's at least maybe 1,000 of those inmates that may be able to be compared for this purpose? Okay, so okay, so well, most of these people aren't high profile, but I work for a prison, and the amount of people that come into my office and tell me the exact same type of story as to why, if I see that somebody's only there for murder, that murder was probably their significant other, and it was probably after a long time of being abused. Like those are things that usually happens. That happens more than once or twice just within my prison. Um, uh, uh, I a s- a significant amount of those of the murderers in my prison. That is a story that they have. Now, whether or not it's 100% true, what they're saying is up in the air. But that is what they come into my office, and that's what they tell me. Hmm. So I am in a prison that has around 400 inmates. And the fact that you told me just now that we can get that as specific as we did and could grab 100, which I don't think it's quite 100, that are that similar, tells me that out of the 400,000 plus thousand, 800 plus thousand. Hmm. So my yeah, there are other factors that you could add. Are they redhead or are they brunette? Um, but the, yeah, okay. How do I? Okay, so usually these people, the outcome is pretty grim for them, regardless of the abuse. But my point is that we were able to get this specific. We were able to get that they come from a history of abuse from their victim. It was murder, and they had no priors. Like all three of those things, we were able to get to put into that. And you were saying that there's probably 100 in my prison of around 400. No, 900. Of around 900. Around the world? Okay, well, that's around America. Okay. Um, I think that there are probably at least 10 in my prison alone. Boy, it could be either. The principal benefit of multivariate regression. So it looks to me like they did multiple analysis. Why multivariate? So it says they did what's called a multivariate regression analysis, and it says that it often cannot control for all possible factors that might affect outcome being studied, typically because sufficient data about some factors are not readily available. For example, in the past reports, the Commission noted that some potentially relevant factors were not included in analysis, such as whether the offender's criminal history included violent criminal conduct, the offender's family ties, and the offender's employment history. Data was not readily available for those factors because the Commission did not routinely extract that information from court documents it receives. Therefore, those prior analysis and the Commission could not control for them. For this reason, caution should always be used when drawing conclusions based on multivariate regression analysis. Is this kind of what you're trying to get at? So yeah, they have that in the study that they're talking about. But you can't but you can't like also for you but you also for but you also can't just outright discount this kind of study because it might have flaws. Otherwise, you're going to discount every single study that could ever be possibly be done by humans. Okay, so this is probably one of the best types of studies, from what I can understand, to be able to analyze this phenomenon. Would you agree or disagree with that? Well, what I would be interested in is a study that is better designed than this one that comes to a different conclusion. So, from okay, but like, so essentially what you're saying is that we just can't know. What other statistics? Well, no, that wasn't even one of the informations that they listed as a flaw. I'm sure they have access to. You can kind of gauge whether or not a person has. Huh? Include analysis as to whether offender's criminal history included. Um, Whether offender's criminal history included violent criminal conduct, the offender's family ties, and the offender's employment history. Huh? So what you're saying is that we can't know. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that this is the best look we have at this phenomenon right now. And I think that the numbers are staggering enough to where we can probably draw some kind of conclusion that there is a racial bias. Okay, hold on a second. Give me. There's another study that I'd like to find. Um, gracious, why is this? Um, so you're doing like response videos. That's the way I start it.
Thank you for being here. My name is John C. Kuna. Person or group compared with another. Basically, bias equals
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the thing is that all the results are like talking about similar stuff, and it's not the thing that I'm looking for. Because so I don't want to. I don't want to say it until I actually find it because this could have been some shit that was completely made up. Yeah. What were they talking about? Uh, well, here's a news article that says that black people are about 7.5 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of murder in the U.S. than are whites. That's pretty. And of course, every single result is going to be about that and not the thing that I'm looking for. Huh? There's 7.5 more times to be wrongfully convicted. Yeah. But they were convicted of it, yeah. Um, Black boys are viewed as older, less innocent than whites, research finds. Black boys as young as 10 may not be viewed. Okay. Black boys as young as 10 may not be viewed in the same light of childhood innocence as their white peers, but are instead more likely to be mistaken as older, be perceived as guilty, and face police violence if accused of a crime, according to new research published by the American Psychological Association. Okay. Wait, but do you understand like the problem with like seeing black boys as being older than and less innocent than white? Well, that's what it says. That's what this story says. So, so the point that I'm trying to make there is that people tend to see black people differently than white, and usually those differences are negative for black people. And those negative differences can lead to stuff like black people being incarcerated at 6 times the rate of white people per capita. Because if you see a 18-year-old black boy commit a crime and you see him as older and less innocent as an 18-year-old white boy who committed the similar crime, then you're going to be more likely to convict the black boy. And you enhance that to a population of 3 billion, then you're going to get a lot of disparity. 300 million. Yes, I keep confusing those. 300 million. There you go. Okay. Are you gonna hop in? All right, I'm going over there now. Wait. Hold on a second. I'll turn on my camera. Oh, you know what I just realized? Son of a bitch. For our entire conversation, your side wasn't captured. Such a great streamer. I've been doing this for years. Yeah. Fucking A. There we go. What is it? Oh, no, I have not.
I
If
don't
you
know
can
about
hold your thought while you're trying to get the ball down the course, you're really good at.
that'll be
communicating.
a great like a great gladiators, mental gladiators. Like we'll have a debate while someone's trying to
Yeah,
distract you.
I would be bottom of that tier, man.
Alright, I think I fixed everything.
I could join your stream and check.
So yeah, I'm interested in this debate you were having with Cluck about the crime rates. What were you saying, Cluck? Just to get warmed up here.
There's a
Oh, he's
despair.
man.
Well, we were talking about incarceration and the disparities in white and black incarceration rates.
Okay. And what was your position?
That there is a high enough disparity to be able to assume that there's some sort of racial bias within the system.
Has it been linear or increased quickly in a short period of time?
I don't know about over time. I think it's decreased over time.
Yeah, it has.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean there's definitely improvement on that front, which is a good thing.
From which point?
Do you
though?
think it's all racial though?
Probably not, but I think a significant portion of it is. I was using the United States Sentencing Commission.
Definitely haven't gone through that one yet myself.
There's a short blurb that I was going off of, and then I started reading the full article that they posted.
Yeah, I mean, we got to understand also how credible some of these sources might be. A lot of them have political bias.
I mean, sure, that could be a thing. What I would like to see, what I was telling Forg, because he was like picking apart the study, and like pointing out the flaws in it, which the study itself admit that every study, every proper study is going to have its weaknesses listed out anyways. But what I would like to see is another study that has better methodology that comes to a different conclusion, and that would be what is convincing to me. People who like say this has biases and that has biases, well, maybe, but like I'm not seeing anything, for the other side. That's like a study. I see a lot of
You're seeing
anecdotes.
nothing, really?
Not
Well, can I
studies. I see a lot of anecdotes.
maybe not a study, but what about
We gotta have data. We have data.
can we give an example? Like
So,
oh,
So here, let me just throw this out there real quick. So just like outside of bias, like we have data. So you're saying that there is this discrepancy, and you're saying that it's racism. You're pretty much just like excluding any other like. I'm not saying that racism isn't playing a part in some part. Okay, I don't know on a pie graph exactly how much that would be, but there are other factors at play that I think you're just kind of dismissing. Do you dismiss all these other factors and just think it's racism?
I think that even when so I think that there is a if you have like if you have a pie, and hold on, can I do this on the whiteboard?
Yes,
You can.
Go
What-
for it.
What am I authorizing?
I have
Base
no
chan-
clue.
The
I will.
ability
I'll
for them to
start
change your
the
social
beginning.
security number.
Okay, so hold on. So if you have a pie, like oh my gosh, this circle is awful.
I'm sorry.
All right. So there's probably like, let's just say this portion, which could be attributed to implicit biases. Then you have like this portion. Well, let's give it more. Where's the eraser at?
Just
think
do
you
a
click on it
undo
and
at
then
the top
delete.
right.
Undo. Okay. Okay, so this portion could be implicit biases. This portion right here could be like other things that Forg was saying.
Well, implicit bias, like that's the same thing. Isn't that the same as racism? And I don't even like implicit bias, because implicit bias, you're just like attaching thoughts and feelings to people, like without any actual proof. You're just like, I'm psychic and I know these people are thinking that.
that's like intersectionalism.
Okay, so I'm giving
I would say
I'm
those
giving
are
my
the same
take.
things. Okay.
I'm
go
giving
ahead.
my take.
You do your pie. Yeah.
Okay, so this portion could be implicit biases. This portion right here could be like they couldn't afford a good lawyer, or they are more likely to be there's more of them committing certain types of crimes. And this one could
How
be
are you
like
cutting this cake?
this could be like other right here, right?
I think we need to color code this.
Okay, so green is all these other things that you guys are saying. Purple is implicit biases, and then orange is other.
Okay.
Okay. So, but this half right here, these other things probably has some kind of racial aspect in a lot of it. Right? So you look at something like the 1350 number that
Right.
that people on the right like
That's a pretty
about.
damning figure. But
yeah, so you look at
data.
something like that, but then you ask like, why is it that this is the case? Well, you see that a lot of dangerous neighborhoods, a lot of poor neighborhoods. A lot of dangerous neighborhoods tend to be poor. A lot of poor neighborhoods, and they also tend to be majority black. Why are there so many black people in these neighborhoods? Well, that can probably be traced back to something like redlining and in the 1960s, right?
Well,
Which was
that explains
racist policy.
why the neighborhoods are kind of different and segregated. Yes, but it doesn't necessarily, I feel like, explain the violence and crime and gangs and stuff. But go ahead.
But there's probably other like explainers. So they're in this neighborhood. It's probably not they weren't giving away the neighborhoods that were good for building wealth to the black community.
I would
during
say
redlining.
that it's kind of a slippery slope where racism leads to this crime, but what you need to realize is it's still crime. Like,
Yeah,
okay, if you go back far enough, it might be racism, but it's still crime.
Of
Like,
course,
there-
I
you
would never
can't
say.
just-
I would never say to let somebody who committed a crime off the hook because they're a certain race. I would never say that. And I would also never say to a black person committing crime, "Oh, you can't help but to commit crime because you're black." That's not, it's not a good individual prescription or description, but I think that it's a good societal description.
Right.
And I think that the prescriptions need to be societally based.
So, would you say those prescriptions? Would you say Democrat DAs around the country, are they executing what you would think is the proper strategy for that?
I mean, I guess it would depend on what strategy you're talking about. I
Well,
think,
I mean, let's talk about the most recent, like the most visible right now, which would be this DA. I can't remember her name in Florida. That she just got basically fired from her job. Right? She was elected to the position, but then she got there, and then she wasn't prosecuting any cases. She was basically just like letting all these criminals go free, like violent, dangerous criminals who went out and did violence and killed people. And so she was removed. And if you look at the media right now, there's this big thing. Oh, it's because she's a black woman and all this kind of thing. And DeSantis is a white fascist. But it's really because she was executing what Democrats think is the prescription for what you're talking about.
okay, so I think that we do have a problem with overcarceration in this country. I think that, but if a prosecutor is just like the way you described it, which I highly doubt that is the case, from completely from your description, there's probably some element of
No, it
truth
is
to
for
it.
sure.
Okay, but like if a prosecutor is just not prosecuting crimes, then no, I wouldn't agree with that. I think that that's just not doing their jobs. I think that there should be. I think that there are people
Let me
who
find
are
it.
not fit to be in society, and they do need to be taken out of
Yeah.
society until they
It
are
was
fit.
literally like 75% of her cases she wasn't prosecuting. But let me find it. I'll find it exactly.
Speaking of lack of prosecution, in Southern California, we have
And
a big problem. A problem with that.
And this is what she did. I just want to show you what she did at her press conference real quick, just to show you this is the kind of like extremists we're dealing with here. If you look, does everybody know how to look in the chat for this voice channel? You
Yeah.
just click on debates and the little chat icon there, and it'll bring it up.
Is it?
But yeah, this is
combat
what she did.
footage?
This is what no. This is what she combat footage. This is what this
Howard
Democrat DA, this far left extremist DA did at her press conference. So this is the kind of person we're dealing with.
I mean, it's definitely a statement.
So let me read you. Here's the grounds for suspension, at least from
Wait.
Miami.
Who is
Okay.
and who is this? I apologize. Who is this?
Okay, so she's her name is Monique Worrell, and she was a Florida DA, and she's a far left, like extremist,
Okay.
BLM woke type. And they basically they removed her from a position because she literally was not prosecuting like any crime. And so let me read this. So DeSantis said he's suspending her because of how she has chosen to prosecute certain crimes. The governor pointed out Worrell office did not act to charge a teenager who had been arrested for several gun crimes, which is funny, right? Because I thought Democrats cared, about gun crime, but no, because it fits a certain intersectional, like their whole, ideological worldview. She let them off. And so she let them off, and then who later shot and killed his pregnant girlfriend in 2022. So that's one example. And apparently there's a bunch of them, but, there was also the shooting of 2 Orlando police officers by a man on probation that she let off easy. And apparently there's a bunch of this.
Wait, let off easy or refuse to prosecute?
Excuse me.
Well, I think both are bad.
Well, we would have to define
He
what.
got he got probation he was prosecuted, but she only went for probation.
She only
Yeah,
went
that's
for
almost-
probation. Okay,
That's
like
almost as bad. That's almost as bad.
okay, so what if there wasn't enough evidence in that
Let me
case to
find
actually?
the actual figure.
Yeah.
But
So
go ahead,
like,
go ahead.
what if there wasn't enough evidence? So she gave him a plea deal to plead guilty because otherwise he had a good chance of getting off completely.
Well, he did get off completely, and then he went killed again. But hold on, let me get this. It's not just about these like a couple individual things. It's
that's-
a pattern.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, what I'm
That
seeing.
where she doesn't prosecute. It's just like the rioters, all those rioters, all those years that got no charges because Democrat DAs let them off.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing right here is non-prosecution of low-level offenses dropped in Tampa. The practice of Florida prosecutor who suspended from his job by Governor Ron DeSantis of not
No,
prosecuting.
we're talking about a woman.
Okay, so this isn't the right person.
But to the liberals' point, so that's basically like Cali, what Riddle was talking about, where there's just like the decriminalization of certain acts under a certain level.
Yeah. Well, they also changed the laws as well too. I mean, look at San Francisco, and that's Northern California. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm trying to find
I'm
this.
curious to
I'll be
see-
honest. I just heard Shapiro drop the figure. He says she hadn't prosecuted like 75. So I'm trying to find that figure. I'm sure he didn't just throw it out there.
The numbers that are released since California has stopped putting people in prison for certain crimes. I'm
What's
curious to see
what's
what
the lady's name?
like, even though there's still crime.
Worrell, Monique Worrell, Worrell.
To your point, RW, I think it's Gascon.
It's
in
what,
the
sorry?
area here. Gascon, the guy that's in my area.
She's from the Ninth Circuit too, and if you're familiar at all with the Ninth Circuit, you know it's an activist, far left circuit court. Ninth Circuit. I remember. I cannot remember exactly why, but through like the late '90s and early 2000s, the Ninth Circuit was coming up a lot. They were making a lot of like important decisions that always fell on the left. Oh, here we go. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. Damn it.
When we roll into the next topic, I'm curious to see where liberal comes from because of where he works for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. How did we get stuck? We were talking about crime and everything, but yeah, that was my point. Is that like, oh, and you know, there's another issue here that I want to actually bring up, and I thought of earlier and I forgot. Are you there, Cluck?
I'm here.
You know the FBI. You know how you can find those crime stats that you mentioned. You know the FBI stopped reporting those stats.
Did they?
Isn't that odd?
Yeah, very
What-
odd. So strange.
What's the time? What timestamp do they have? Like, what's the end?
2019 I think is the last one. There might be 2020 stats you can find, but that's really hard. I think
2019, like late 2019, like when COVID started
2019 are the last like violent murder broke down by race stats. You can't really find any crime stats now. Apparently, it's
Wouldn't
if
that
you
be
look into it, they're
considered
not. They're just not doing it, and they're not doing it because that's all part of this like woke DEI initiative, which I'd like to get into, but at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting.
I'm gonna do a little bathroom break here real quick here in a minute, but yeah, I like real quick just before we go further. I like the tenor right now of what we got going here. You guys are all doing really good. We got pretty much just liberal Cluck on his own here, and everybody's not like shouting him down and stuff. I like that. Very good. Let's keep that up.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
100%.
But and this other guy that's with us, who is that? Is that somebody that came with Cluck?
Yeah.
Yeah, Forg, he just joined.
Borg? Are you right or left?
I'd say more right leaning.
Okay. It sounds like there's a little nuance there, so that's good. Same here. There's a little nuance here too. Yeah, so let me step away for just a minute. I'll be right back, and we can. I do want to. We should just move on into DEI real quick, and then we'll go to talking about Trump indictments. How's that sound, Cluck?
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good here.
Right back.
Hold on 20 seconds. I'll have something for you guys.
All right.
Yeah, no worries. RW, in the meantime, I think I was talking about, I think his name Paul Gascon. I think his first name is Paul or something like that. Can't remember his first name, but I was talking about Gascon, the DA of our district, of our area. I'm not in the main area,
What were you
but
saying about this man?
yeah, that he just doesn't prosecute enough at all, really. I mean, some of these people trying to derail the train.
On paper, that'll look good, but the realization of crime going up. I mean, I'm guessing it went up because if you're not going to get in trouble for stealing, I mean,
There was
there's gonna be a lot
there
of
were some
people
people
that would think it's good.
derail a train for the sake of a protest movement and still didn't prosecute it.
Really?
This is a little bit of a while ago. Yes, Southern California.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I
was
couldn't find
thinking
a Ben
about
Shapiro
Baldwin,
clip he
but
was talking
I don't
about.
know what all happened.
Oh, Ben Shapiro, great.
Well, I want to see what Ben Shapiro says because that's apparently where he got his information from.
Wait,
I'm-
what about Ben Shapiro?
Can we hear what his sister has to say too? Because she's pretty hot.
Yeah, true. I agree.
I was
What?
looking for the Ben Shapiro clip that had whatever
Yeah, about
figure,
Brett Cooper.
75% that
No, Brett
Dronetek was
Cooper
talking
looks
about.
like him, but that's not
I
his
know.
sister.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a joke, but like, who the hell's his sister?
It's like Margarine Shapiro.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know
whatever.
her name. She's
Abigail.
Abigail.
well,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Bill.
I didn't know. I didn't even know he had a sister. Who
I
cares?
didn't know that either.
Who cares, man? Anyways, sorry, Cluck. What were you saying before?
I was just looking for the Ben Shapiro video, but I couldn't find it.
Oh, okay. Well,
Which one?
Whichever one Dronetek was getting 75% from.
Oh, the 1350 one?
No. 75. She wasn't prosecuting 75% of her cases. I don't even know how
Oh.
they would go about, because like if she's not prosecuting a case, how would they know that like 75% is not being prosecuted?
Did Drone say that was in a Ben
I mean,
Shapiro video?
Yeah.
how do they not? How do they not know if she's a DA? How do they not record that?
Is there like a list of
Everything-
cases that goes in front of her and she says no,
Yeah,
no,
it's
no,
illegal,
yes?
It's a legal process. Like, yeah. You have to record all of it. There's no way that's not recorded.
Okay.
Well,
So, what are you guys talking about?
how do they record it? Well,
Just
it's
looking for
I
the
guess maybe
video.
it's when they first get arrested, and then the prosecutor determines whether or not they're going to prosecute.
Okay, Drone. So he's confused. He's confused. Hold on. No, well, you missed like the very first step right there. He's confused about how if like I'm sorry, Cluck. You were questioning like if they
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, I can see this.
legally record the prosecutions.
No, I'm not
Like, how
saying
do you know?
can they legally. What I'm saying is,
Oh.
what are they comparing the 75%? Like she's only prosecuting 25% of what? The amount of people that's been arrested? Like is it like everyone that's been arrested?
Cases
She's
coming
only
to her.
prosecuting
Cases coming to her.
cases coming to her. How does a case come
Right.
to her?
And I don't whatever the process is for a case coming to the DA, and whether or not they choose to prosecute. She was letting way more off. She was letting way too many off. She was not doing her job. Is the charge, and it was actually brought to DeSantis's attention, I guess, at least claiming, according to her, by the police themselves. And I did read something saying that they had shown DeSantis like how crime had been going up since she got in, and how there was all these repeat offenders that they were sending. They were trying to get charges, trying to push to get charges against them, and she would give them either light slap on the wrist, probation, or nothing at all. And that's what was. And she's saying that this is all happening. She's saying this is all happening as retaliation against her because she had something to do with getting somebody, some cop fired or something. I don't know, but that's her claim, is that this is all retaliation. I doubt that
there could be
DeSantis would do all
that
this
also.
for nothing. Like, he's walking on eggshells. Like, he wouldn't do something like this. And she's also claiming he's doing this to get notoriety because he's sinking in the polls. Which, hey, these are legitimate charges. But like, if she is not doing her job, which apparently they have proof she's not, and records she's not, then they have the
But
ability
if
to
you
do
think
this.
About it, the fraternity of police is getting ticked off because a DA is making them. They can't even do their job, and they have to do their job over and over again. DeSantis would just be some guy that doesn't want to get involved, maybe because he's trying to look good. But if the DA and the police are at each other's throats, there's going to be more stories coming out if there's something there to be told.
Okay. Well, I tried to find that video you were talking about from Ben Shapiro, where he says
uploads,
75%.
3 times every day. It's gonna be impossible.
Well,
Did you find it, Cluck?
I didn't, but like I can only look on YouTube. I don't have like a Daily Wire.
Well, it was his. Well, me neither. It was on SoundCloud. His just regular daily show. He was talking about.
Oh,
Let me see if I can find it here real quick.
so it's just a voice
What are we going to
podcast.
gain from this video? I'm just curious.
I wanted. Well, I was just looking for the
I
75%.
want to. I just want to
figure.
hear what he says. Actually, I'm curious too because I just want to hear what he says and see if I can search it and find.
On YouTube, though, I would be able to do a search for 75 through the.
I don't remember if that's what it was. That's why I kind of want to just.
Oh, okay.
Let me find it here. I don't think that'll stream.
I'd be able to do
It'll
the search for the word percent, and I would be able to find it way quicker on YouTube than you probably could on SoundCloud.
That
He's a
probably
Daily
wouldn't
Wire
pop
guy,
up.
right?
Yeah, he is.
Let me mute myself for a second so it doesn't come through my mic.
He's the guy who looks kind of squirrely.
I know who he is. He's definitely, like you said, he posts 3 times a day. He's definitely one of those guys that lives on Twitter.
Oh yeah. Well, not really Twitter, more like just YouTube.
Yeah, I guess I just don't pay attention to him on there. I mostly see his tweets, not personally, but reposted.
Have you seen how much Jordan Peterson was posting?
No.
Crazy amount. If you
Who-
go to
who
his
is
thing,
this
like,
person? What's the significance of them?
of his posts.
No, of the person. I'm not familiar with them.
Oh, Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, maybe I know him, but I don't know him. I don't know. Let me know.
Oh,
He-
there's no way you don't know about him.
Yeah, there's
You're just
no
you're just
way.
you're just you're just fishing for information, RW.
No, I'm not. I'll look up
You
his
are.
name.
That's
but
what
I
you
don't,
do.
doesn't ring
That's what you do.
He's
Come
the
on.
he's the guy who cries a lot on camera.
Oh, he did cry that one time. That was kind of sad though.
It was sad, but
It was sad because
He's
you can
made
tell he
fun of a
genuinely
lot.
cares. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what you do when you. I mean,
I've seen his
people
face
cry.
before, yeah.
I cry too, man. It happens.
Can't remember what he was talking about, but I have seen him before.
He said, "I thought that the
Probably
marginalized were
psychology.
supposed to have a voice."
He wasn't on the 5G thing. Was
Can
he?
you guys hear this real quick?
He was
Sorry, man.
addicted to a drug. I forget which one.
Why don't
But
you
that was-
just
Guys,
share your screen,
Guys,
Dronetek?
hold up. I'm gonna play this so you can hear it. One second.
Why don't you just share your screen on Discord?
We want to see all the anime happening in the background. Yummy, yummy, yeah, bro.
Hey guys, I'm playing it. Can you guys hear this?
Called into Washington D.C. to stop crime.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because
Somewhat.
you'll remember that Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas wrote an op-ed in the middle of riot summer 2020, suggesting that maybe the National Guard needed
It's somewhere in here. One second.
riots. And this ended with the firing of the op-ed editor of the New York Times for even daring to run a piece suggesting that thing. Now you have D.C. council members who are suggesting the same thing about Washington, D.C. itself. DeSantis said that they had charged cases in this particular district in ways that would avoid all of the mandatory minimum sentences for both gun and drug trafficking crimes. They allowed juveniles to avoid serious charges or incarceration. He said prosecutors have a certain amount of discretion about which cases to bring and which not to bring. This state attorney has abused that discretion and has effectively nullified certain laws in the state of Florida. The governor then appointed Andrew Bain, a judge from the same judicial circuit, to take Worrell's place. Worrell can appeal her suspension to the Republican-controlled state Senate or go to the Florida Supreme Court. Unlikely that she is going to win that case. She will be the new MSNBC hero of the day because that is
That's true.
Or if you disrupt the system, like a Tennessee state legislator who just decides to.
Okay, so I'm not sure. It's in there somewhere, but basically, yeah, the charge is that she was not doing her job as a prosecutor. But that's not necessarily the issue. Like that's my point, though, is that that's part. I don't even know how I don't even remember how we got on this, but so. Are we done with the black crime? Because look, I'm not trying to attack black people or anything. I'm fine with black people, but there definitely seems to be some sort of issue in the black community with crime and violence, and you just chalk that all up to racism, Cluck.
Well,
And
I think a lot of it comes from either racism whether it's now or historic racism.
I mean, the older generations are more steeped in it, at least where I'm from. So as they get older and the younger people grow up into it, I would think that would naturally decline. But it's also other things are happening, and It's not like we're just going to a better place, but that topic in itself might at least change for the better, hopefully.
Yeah, I want everything to work out, but I definitely think there is some room here. I don't think you can just blame it on like a conspiracy of white people or police. Although,
Well, I don't
you're
think
gonna.
it's a conspiracy of white
Although,
people.
right? Okay. Well, okay.
I think it's based largely in real historic things that put a large portion of the black community in situations that makes them more susceptible to do crime.
But
Can I ask a question though?
Yeah.
But if you drop every group of people into that situation, do they all do the same thing? Do they all resort to crime, or are
Probably.
black people more likely to, for some reason?
I think that if you give any race of people the same history and the same situations in which um black people have been in, then they're
How
probably
long does
going
this
to
go
end up
on
in the
for?
same type
Well,
of.
how long does this stretch back for? I mean, because every group of people, their ancestors have faced, unfairness and hatred and trials and tribulations and all that stuff.
Project.
No,
I think the project would be what's the current biggest cause in history of the black culture being.
What about the
having to live
projects
the life they
makes
live.
that like? You can
I
only.
personally haven't had the experience, but it seems like I can look it up now and get better information. That's just what came to mind first.
Well, for me, it's really. I think that the biggest impactful things right now on black people right now is if you're talking about historical stuff, is going to be Jim Crow era discrimination. I mean, the last Jim Crow laws weren't repealed until what was it, 1960? My mom was born in 1970, and it's not like once the laws were repealed, racism was over.
Yeah, I think it was the end of the Civil War that was brought up in courts. Wait, no, sorry, I was just reading that yesterday. I'll get you the date.
You're talking about like a reference to Juneteenth when they actually got there after the Civil War.
Sorry, I was talking. What's going on, Riddle?
Hey, who was? By the way, it was the 9-year quote unquote anniversary of what was that one guy? The one guy that was in my and proven in court rightfully I don't want to say what, killed or murdered. Can't say that, right? Because it's not true.
What's Michael
His
Brown?
name Brown? Michael Brown, yeah. Yeah. The guy that's so the media's trying to spin it right now and say that he's got like they're celebrating it now. Right now. 9 years later, they're celebrating it even though it was proven in court that he attacked a store clerk. And then from I don't know, walked down the distance or whatever, and then all of a sudden attacked a police officer that was just chilling in his car with the window down. He punched him in the face. They had DNA evidence to prove it not on the police officer's face and his knuckles. They proved it with
Right.
all this evidence. The guy he tried to take his gun. He shot him. And Michael Brown started to run away, and then he turned around and started coming back, and that's when the fatal shot, I guess, occurred.
Right, and yeah. What do you think about that, Cluck? I wonder, and he's right. The media right now is actually putting on this yesterday. It was mostly yesterday because that was the anniversary. But there's even Fox News had this whole thing about, oh, we're honoring him on this day, and they interviewed his father, and his father's obviously milking it all for money. He's doing these galas now every year where they raise money for some stupid crap so we can have a great future society with better police. Like, they're just completely ignoring the truth. They're like off in their own little fantasy land, and apparently the media and everyone, we've just rewritten history, and it's now changed despite the trial, despite what we all know. It's
Mostly
insane. It's like
grab, though.
but like it's weird. It's odd to me that the media and elected Democrats, Cory Bush, is out there every year, putting out these tweets about
Cash grab at what cost? What cost is a
Right.
cash grab, man?
Yeah, but this seems serious to me. Like they're just
This is
literally
serious.
rewriting history for some political motive.
Yeah, it's because they're going to expect people to forget. 9 years later, now we have a new generation. That's almost 10 years. That's a generational gap right there. So they're so used to hearing the media say certain things that they're just going to believe it because, everyone, not everyone, but the younger generation, a lot of them anyways, is convinced that that's what's really happening, is that there is white supremacy. There is a complete police
Right,
corruption about everything.
Right, and that's part of the mythology. Cluck, I'm just curious what your input is on this.
Well, how far away from the officers was Brown when he got shot?
The first time he attacked him and tried to take his gun. That was the first time.
Yeah, and then he
Left.
He
He
left.
ran away, and then he
He ran
came
away.
back. He started running back
He
towards the
came
cop.
back, and according to the ballistics report, and it's funny because the eyewitnesses, quote unquote eyewitnesses, said that he got shot in the back. That just didn't happen. Not
Yeah,
according to the autopsy.
eyewitness testimony is like is
Essentially hearsay.
yeah. Well, eyewitness
It's
testimony
bad.
is very
It's
unreliable.
unreliable. Hey, and that's interesting, Cluck, that you would say that, because what did the national media and the Democrat Party do with that information?
With the eyewitness testimony, well, I mean,
Yeah.
they do what they always do when there's breaking news, and they get it wrong, and usually they eventually correct themselves, but nobody ever sees the corrections.
Well, when
Damage can be done.
was
anyway.
it corrected? That's what we're saying. To this day, they're still going with the lie. Do you want me to show you an example? If you look at my video from today, it was all about it. But yeah, even Fox News had this whole thing about the anniversary of the day Michael Brown was killed. Here we're commemorating his life with this honorary memorial, and we're doing it at this gala with his father. And then it comes in with this black reporter, and she's like, Michael Brown was laying on the ground for 4 hours dying, and blah blah blah. And it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like, what is this?
Which is funny because the police were actually trying to get to the body, but the people riding around were not letting them do that. So there's evidence.
Oh.
Well, he was shot.
And what happened?
He was shot in the head. So, like, let's not try to say that the rioters caused him to die.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay,
No,
okay.
They're saying that she laid there for 4 hours because of that, because they were getting violent.
You're talking about Michael Brown, right?
Yeah.
His body was there, laying there.
Right, and I'm just saying this Fox News piece was pure, it was pure propaganda, like pure leftist, bullshit. It was just like this total alternate reality. I can show it to you if you want. It's offensive as fuck to me. I'm just like,
okay, so I'm reading a New York Times article that has in it that he was shot in his front.
Right.
They were not shot from very close range. There's no gunpowders present, so he was far from the officers.
No, this was after, right. So he attacked the officer. He started the attack. Tried to pull the gun. The officers got, and there's gunpowder or something on. There was a proof of this on Michael Brown, that he was his hands were on the gun, and he not only his prints and stuff, but there was residue or something on it. But then he started to run. Then he came charging back at the officers. That's when they shot.
Yeah.
Right,
But he wasn't very close, right?
I can't remember the exact distance, but I mean,
was
a grand jury found that it was justified.
Was this a?
And one of the prosecutors was an Obama appointed person. They tried the best to actually prosecute that person, but no, it was just all the evidence clearly showed that Michael Brown was the offender. But now the media is trying to portray it as, well, we should
to this
commemorate
day.
this.
Well, okay, so I think
It's
that if a cop has a less lethal form to be able to take down a potential threat, they should use it. Does everyone here agree with that?
Like what?
He
Tasers?
wasn't a potential threat. He tried to grab the officer's gun.
He tried to. Okay,
he knew his intent was to kill him.
So he tried to grab the officer's.
As a human being, what would you do in that situation?
Can y'all let me talk? If he had been shot at the moment in which he tried to grab the officer's gun, then I think it would be justified. But after he ran away and was coming back, then it's possible that it wasn't
And
justified.
was coming
It's-
back?
Yeah,
Like, why is he coming back?
I
And he
don't know
came
why.
to attack
Wait,
him.
hold on.
Came to attack him.
Wait, why didn't the cop use less lethal means to take him down?
Because he didn't want to die.
But he was
So
far
he
away.
tasers this guy.
He wasn't in.
Keeps coming.
Taking a chance.
He wasn't in immediate danger.
What?
He
From
was
the
not
get-
in
He
He
immediate
was under
danger.
attack.
That's a
He was
judgment
literally
call.
under
That's a judgment
attack.
He wasn't under attack. He had somebody running towards him.
Can I just clarify?
You're forgetting
something
that he
here?
initiated the attack in the first place, right?
That doesn't matter because if he had initiated the attack,
Doesn't matter.
no, it does not matter.
Real
The grand
quick,
jury disagrees.
so,
I'm just gonna
um,
throw that out there.
Smokey
I
Steve
just
wants to
wanna point
interject.
something out. Want to point something out for the fact is that he, in the initial attack when he attacked the cop, he took one through the hand. So he was definitely pissed off and enraged. He had definitely been shot in the hand in the initial 2 shots.
Oh, I
So-
didn't. Okay, all right.
He went
So-
off and came back shot in the hand. So you got to imagine he was a little pissed off.
Okay,
Uh,
so I think,
Was
and
he looking for medical attention and surrendering? Probably not. you
I
know?
mean, there were there were people who said that he was surrendering, but like you said, that's not very reliable.
That was
Oh,
hands up, don't shoot, and we found out that didn't.
Well,
They also said he was shot in the back. The same eyewitness testimony.
yeah,
They
yeah,
said
that's what I'm saying. It's
shot
not
in the
reliable. But
back.
how did we find out that he didn't have his hands up? Was there video?
Here we go.
Wait,
I just like
I don't
now
have the
you're
answer
getting
to that.
into like
wait, hold on. How did we find out he didn't have his hands up?
because the witnesses that came forward.
Okay, so
for
there
one,
was
the ones
witnesses that said that they did, and there was witnesses that said that they didn't.
right, and the ones that said he did fell apart under examination. It was clear they were lying. If you look into it, I remember this. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah, because
let me
Dronetek
get it,
remembers
let me
it.
get it. I will get it. I'll get it right now for you.
I can show you real quick too. He was shot. I'm going to just turn my camera on for a second. Excuse my half nakedness.
Oh God, no, Steve, no, please, God, no, Steve,
He,
Look at
Steve, no.
he had a bunch of shots on this side of his arm, as well as 2 in the head. So if his hands were above his head, you wouldn't have been able to shoot him in this side of his arm. It would have been on the underside of his arm.
That's a fair point.
Thank you for your debut, buddy.
Good ballistics reporting.
I have a question for Liberal.
Thank you, Steve.
Mhm.
So when someone's getting rushed, and I wasn't there, I didn't see it, but just say you're at work and one of the inmates rushes you, you have to have the time to think to react, and if you choose wrong and you harm them more than you want to, that's something that you're gonna have to deal with, and you might get in trouble for. But when you have a short period of time, it's hard. You can always, in hindsight, pick on yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to judge someone for a quick judgment call.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So here's what we have here. At least in Wikipedia, it says on the Department of Justice released a report. So the report found that physical and forensic evidence contradicted witnesses who claimed Brown had his hands up when Wilson shot him. So
Wait, can you post that?
witness testimony aligned with. It also stated that witnesses whose testimony aligned with the physical and forensic evidence never perceived Brown to be attempting to surrender at any point.
Okay, could you post that?
Yeah, 1 second.
I bet you that
Who
was
did
cake.
that?
That was good. I like
Yeah,
that.
that probably does sound like cake.
Kind of made me want to fart.
You guys know me
I'm
too well.
happy to move on
Yeah.
to DEI. I don't know if anyone else wants to make that vote.
We
Wait,
can,
hold on.
yeah.
Okay, so real quick,
Well,
I just
mean,
want,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
can I just point this out real quick?
You're gonna be like, you're posting a CNN article.
Yeah,
Blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
exactly. So you asked me, did they ever correct themselves? This is them correcting themselves, is it not?
But
'Cause I'm sure
after
CNN
they
had-
started after they incited riots.
Yeah,
They literally
Look,
Here,
I'm not
let me
going
show you-
to. I'm not
let
going
me-
to
let
say
me-
that
let me say,
they.
they literally did the hands up, don't shoot thing during a segment. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, no, I'm sure they did, but this was probably before all this
Is that
came
what
out.
media people? Is that what the news reporters are supposed to do?
no,
Take
no,
part
no.
in a live
Oh my goodness.
protest on the air?
Okay, if you want me to say that media probably should get all their facts straight before they start reporting on shit, then yes, I would 100% agree. But I'm also not going to expect media that is trying to get the breaking news to do that. It's just not how our
Well,
media works.
I do want to say this, that if you read that article and you read, there's tons of them. When after Hands Up, those shoot was shown not to be true. You see all these articles that are like, it wasn't true, but it's representative of something that does happen, and it brings attention to the problem, so it's okay.
Yeah, there
Like,
may have been people just trying to justify it.
no,
but-
that literal CNN article does, but that CNN article is about the DOJ report, so it's
Okay.
not necessarily them coming out and correcting themselves. It's just them reporting on the DOJ report, which has that in it.
Which would be a contradiction to their earlier reporting, which would mean that they are
Right,
correcting
but like I said,
themselves.
the damage had been done at that point.
I agree.
and
I 100% agree. I wish
the
media.
the myth lives on. To this day.
I 100% agree. I wish media would be more responsible with this kind of stuff. But if if one side's media doesn't cover the breaking news, then the other side's media is just going to cover it, and they're going to get first dibs on the narrative that's around it. So it's really a crapshoot either way.
Okay, so I would earlier you were saying like, oh well, they can't do anything because they have to report on it first. And yeah, media. If you want to make the most money, you have to.
Which is what media is trying to do.
You're acting like it's like an inescapable thing, though. Like, okay, yeah, they should report on it first to get the most viewers and whatever. Even though the side will go to the other side. Conservatives will go to Fox. Liberals will go to fucking CNN. It doesn't really matter who reports it first. But I'm just. That doesn't make it okay to say all these things. It's not.
I agree.
It's a really shit excuse to say well, they have to get on it first.
No,
right?
I agree, but this is like a counter to Dronetek's constant narrative of they're just trying to lie for liberals, and this is. I'm saying that no, actually,
I don't
media
usually use the term liberal, but
well, the left, whatever. I'm saying that media does get things wrong, and they really, really do get things wrong when they're covering breaking news. And this is just another one of those situations where they got it wrong covering breaking news. They had eyewitness testimony that said the things that they reported as eyewitness testimony, and people took it for truth. And then they later corrected themselves when the DOJ report came out, and not as many people are going to see the correction.
Well, can
it's
I
the
ask you
same thing
this
that
real
happened
quick?
with Jacob Blake.
Right, yeah, you're right, and not just Jacob Blake, but a lot. And I would include George Floyd in that because they all made it a huge race issue when racism was never even brought up during the trial. So, that's it's literally they just keep trying to get their what was that guy's name that got beat up by the cops that started all this? The Reginald Denny, is that his name? Is that the first guy that got beat up on? And that was legit. That was like actual legit. Do you guys remember that?
I remember Rodney King.
Rodney King. Reginald Denny might have been the guy in the truck that got beat up. Anyway, Rodney King. So Rodney King kind of started a lot of this stuff, but that was legit. That was like a legit, like they were just beating the shit out of him.
Dronetek, of course, you remembered the white guy. Reginald Denning was the white guy.
It wasn't the white guy? That's so funny. No, I don't know why I couldn't remember Rodney King.
All the homeboys came out of the woodwork, and that one guy even fucking blasted a shotgun at his head, and it missed him by about 3 inches. And that guy lived.
God, man. Yeah, that footage is rough to watch, man. That whole thing was crazy.
So
I'm amazed.
I think that explicit racism in the police force is nowhere near as bad as people make it out to be. But I do think that the police can tend to be more violent than they need to be, and that violence tends to affect Black communities because they tend to be the communities that are policed more heavy disproportionately. And I think that's where the racist, the actual systemic racist aspect of this comes in.
I would say, it's funny because we could probably agree on a lot of stuff when it comes to the police issue, because I'm not necessarily saying that the police aren't mistreating Black people. I'm saying it's not necessarily because of racism. I don't think that necessarily they're doing this because they hate Black people is what I'm saying, or it's some kind of conspiracy. I do think there's a problem with the cops. You see it and I talk about this all the time, but First Amendment audit videos. If you've not watched these, you gotta watch
Lord.
them. Look, at first you might think like these fucking assholes, which is the way I was at first. But eventually, you kind of come around to seeing like where they're coming from, and what they expose is a lot of these police, and not just police, but public workers in general, have this like, perceived authority that they don't have, especially police. And they don't know the laws. They don't know the Constitution. They don't know people's rights. It's just a job they go do. And it's like if you've ever worked retail, you freaking end up hating people if you work retail because they're just assholes. The public is assholes. And I can imagine if you're a police officer and you got to deal with that every day, like you get all that hate, but then you have the power to like carry it out. So it doesn't surprise me that it ends up that way.
Yeah,
But it ends up that way regardless of what color you are. Though.
But if there's a community such as Black people who are having to deal with these people with the power to carry it out more often, then you're going to see a disproportionate effect
if you're
against
committing
them.
crimes more often, then you're going to be interacting with the police more often.
I mean, sure, but
and I know you're going to throw out the study about jaywalking. I know that study.
Well,
but,
actually, I'm sorry,
I don't. Not the
know
jaywalking.
You're talking about
maybe it was jaywalking.
No. I think what you're thinking about is the nighttime versus daytime study.
I thought there was like a jaywalking study showing that like Black people had been like actually prosecuted for jaywalking like at some ridiculous rate, or it was either that or maybe it was traffic. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but
the traffic thing I feel like might be legit.
I was going to say is if you track back the reason why these communities are doing more crimes, it probably does track to something racist in the past.
But I don't. You say that, but like that's like somebody saying, "Well, probably God did it." Like,
well, it was. No, I can't. I'm not going to say it's God. I'm going to say that it was the institutions in America that purposefully left Black people out of means to build wealth and live in places that have equal opportunity as to their white counterparts of the time, and the oppression.
So like
you could be saying it's rooted in slavery.
That was of the time. Look how many rich Black people there are these days.
Yeah, it happens.
Who holds the social circle down?
But no, it for sure happens. But if you take a group of people and you make one group super poor and you make another group with more opportunities to get wealthy, and then you fast forward, what is it, 60, 40, 60 years? And you look at the two groups and one's going to still be more poor.
Okay, so
I have something to share though with the group. Sorry,
they're not.
So you have one. So white people have their crimes they commit as well. So like piracy, they'll steal it off the internet and not think twice about it. But will they go out and rob a store because they have the computer option? They don't. If they don't have the computer option and they still wanted to do that, they have more, but they still do criminal acts. So there's the morality issue still for all groups of people. They're just different.
How about no?
No, I'm not laughing at you, man. I'm laughing at the soundboard's funny. Go ahead, continue.
Congratulations.
That was well timed,
You
but
played
if
yourself.
I'm wrong, go for it.
Yeah,
No,
that
you're good,
soundboard.
man. You're
That
good.
soundboard might derail sometimes. I guess.
yeah.
It's a little too.
Hold on, I'm spreading the word on this stream real quick. Give me a minute.
Yeah, go for
You guys keep talking. You stop
Alright.
talking.
I would
I want to talk about DEI here in a minute.
I'm down to talk about DEI as well, but we're talking
Because
about
the story is crazy that I want to get into. It's pretty crazy. Did you look into it at all, Cluck?
The Best Buy having a manager.
Well,
class
no, that's one of
managerial-
the things, but
Well, that's what I was seeing popping up on Google.
I
Best
sent you
Buy.
a link. You're like, Twitter news? You get your news from Twitter?
Yeah,
You
no,
were, like,
you don't
all
ever send
offended
me a
that I sent
Twitter
you this
link as proof. Like, what? Don't ever send me a Twitter link as a source. I'm going to
It's
dismiss
not a
it
source.
immediately.
I was just sending you the story, like a link to the story. That's all.
Oh, you didn't find the story and send it to me. Find like the actual new, like the articles.
Was everybody here aware of DEI
Okay,
before
let's see.
tonight? Because I
No.
basically didn't know much about it.
I thought you
I-
could just find it on your own, but
I
I'll get
did.
it.
So from what I read,
okay.
it seems like
it should be
Best.
everywhere.
So it seems like Best Buy.
No, Okay, the Best Buy thing. Okay, good.
It seems like Best Buy had a training for leadership, and they limited the training to only allowing Black and Latino and Pacific Asians.
Everybody but white people.
Yep. That's what I said. It was anti-white.
It's racial discrimination,
we don't
which is
need-
But
bad,
what is
right?
the definition of Pacific Asians?
What?
Huh?
RW? What's it? See, every time I say something, RW makes a strange face. Did you discover something, RW?
No, I was making a joke that the white people weren't invited to the training session because they are already, educated on the subject. I guess I don't know.
Well,
how's that?
Okay, so
It was just bullshit. It was absolutely a bullshit comment.
Bruh.
no, if you look at the racial makeup of leadership positions, it's overwhelmingly white, especially the higher up you go. However, I don't
Okay.
think that this
So
training
is the
was.
country.
I don't think
Yeah,
that
it's
this.
got plus 60%
No,
white
the-
people.
no, no,
It's just gonna happen.
Okay, so when I say overwhelmingly white, I mean they're overrepresented, and the other
In the
races
media?
are underrepresented.
You know what? Who's overrepresented, according to the population percentage,
Hmm.
is black people. They're overrepresented in media, but you know who's not represented enough is Asians, Indians, and Hispanics. Where are they?
In media?
What?
Well, wait, hold on. Are we
In
talking
In all
about
media, in all forms of media, all
Okay,
forms of it.
so, if you want to talk about representation in media, we can change the conversation from Best Buy to that.
No, we don't have to.
Okay.
I was just making a.
You can add to the list if you want to bring it up later too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So
We need more lefties.
Yeah, that's true. We do need more lefties.
Yeah.
So I went into a couple of right-leaning Reddit people, right-leaning Reddits to find my right-leaning people, like
Tim
Fork.
Pool, I'm guessing.
No, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, so minority groups tend to be underrepresented when it comes to leadership roles, even compared to their population per capita, underrepresented.
Okay.
However,
Could that
Best
be
Buy
their own
doesn't
personal
have
choices?
that. Best Buy doesn't seem to have that issue, so I don't really know. I think they're continuing to a program that's kind of unnecessary for them personally.
Well, it's just racial discrimination, and that's bad. I'm just trying to let's talk about principles here. Is racial discrimination bad? Yes or no?
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah, you can't say that. That's not
No,
a
no. So
principle.
hold on.
That's just
If you
like-
have,
I'm
wait,
just
if
giving
you,
myself
wait,
room
oh,
to
Dronetek.
on that.
If you have because you're going to frame it as racial discrimination, I'm not going to fight that.
It's not framing. It just is.
No. So if you have a company and you look at your leadership and you see that you have, let's just go to the extremes. Where this is a hypothetical. You see that you have your managerial staff is 99% white males, and you want to have more diversity in that role in your company. Is that a bad thing?
No, not like wanting more people of wanting.
As long as you can do
If
the
you want
job.
diversity of skin color, fine, but you can't base it just on that. And just
Well,
I
I
don't
wouldn't
understand
base it
white-
just on
hold
that.
On, no, hold on. First of all, there's a lot to unpack there. So one, I want diversity in my workforce. Well, that's not just skin color, but it seems to be the main focus. One, two, you can still do that, and I think that's a fine thing to do, but you can't do that, and you can't do that and say, well, we're just not going to help white people.
Well,
we're going to help these other groups, but not them. Like that. What?
if you have a company, if you have a company that has 99% of your leadership as white, do you think that white people need help in that situation?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Because
it's
you
not the
can't.
fact that
You're
they're
just assuming
white.
you're just assuming because they're white they don't need help. Isn't that racial stereotyping? It amazes me how you can't stick to your principles.
So when you
That's
say
so weird to me.
when we say need help, we mean need help in the in being promoted to managerial positions.
What?
So to give everybody the opportunity to get in that job is great, but to take something away from somebody for no other reason because there's too many white people, that's where I would get upset.
Right.
Because if
And,
they're doing the job good, there's no point. But there's not like it's not like they're keeping anyone else out. But if they bring someone else in just to change the numbers around, that's when it's very political and it's not actually fair to people.
You guys remember when they used DEI for the airlines and the person crashed the plane? Yeah, good times.
Oh, I think I've heard of that.
Okay, so
Oh yeah.
If your company, okay, go ahead.
Before we do that, so if to achieve your goal, you have to, one, racially discriminate, and two, basically racially stereotype people because they're white. There's something about those people who are that color. They're doing something unfair in order to get to where they're at. That must be what you're implying here, because like, why is there more white people in these positions? And if there is, I don't know that if there's some sort of, if they're overrepresented, but if they are, why is that? Is there more white people in general working at Best Buy that choose to work there?
No, so I already said that
white people. Is there more white people just like trying to achieve that goal of a manager than there is other people?
Okay, so I already said that Best Buy doesn't have this issue. Best Buy actually,
Then what are we even arguing? So they're just being racist, right?
But I'm arguing over but overall, American companies do have this issue. So what I'm trying to tease out is a company seeing that they have, and I'm doing this by giving you the most extreme hypothetical. Is a company seeing that they have 99% of their staff, their managerial staff, being white, wanting more diversity, and taking steps to hire more people of other races and backgrounds? Is that a bad thing?
Not taking steps to hire people, like if you're like, I just want to have a better appearance of like more than just a bunch of white people. Just be honest about that.
Do you think diversity is actually a problem only in America? I don't understand.
Probably not. But I mean,
Well,
we're living in America. I mean, I don't know. You might not be living in America, but I'm living in America.
Yeah, but you just said that though. You just said this. Maybe this is an American thing. Like why?
What? I'm doing a hypo. No, I said that in America, we do have a situation to where managerial classes, positions are underrepresented for minority groups and overrepresented for white people. So I'm making a descriptive claim about America.
Well, then that's.
It could also be true for other countries too.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with treating people equally and giving everybody the opportunity, because that's what America has found.
The whole idea of DEI
ask you
at
something?
its core is completely racist to all parties.
I'm curious about something. Is diversity an issue in any other country other than a Western nation? Like, I'm asking, is it like is that an issue that arises anywhere other than Western countries? I know Japan has gotten a little pushback. I've seen it out there a little bit, but they've been like F off.
Is Japan not considered like Western culture?
Freedom of speech, it's hard to arise.
Japan is.
I guess so. I guess they could be. Maybe that's why they've gotten a little pushback. Maybe that's why. But can you name another country that's not like a majority white that's gotten that? Is that an issue in any country other than like?
Gotten pushback for what? Diversity?
I'm asking, is racial diversity like a national issue in any other country other than a majority white country?
I don't know what other countries are talking about, so I couldn't answer that question.
Any country that isn't a majority white. That's the country I'm talking about.
But I just don't know what any other country is talking about when it comes to this type of thing.
No, but it's not. It's because there is no such thing.
Wait, how could you 100% know? You know what every single country is talking about when it comes to racial dynamics.
Yeah, all the white-based ones, all the Western ones.
Yeah, I've never heard of this ever being a thing anywhere other than.
And you think
Western
that means that it's not a thing in other countries?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool.
That's exactly what it.
Well, here, let me throw this out there, and it's a little jerk offy, but I watch a lot of travel vlogs, okay, and a couple of the vloggers I watch are slightly political. And there's no such thing. It doesn't exist anywhere else.
Okay.
That's as far as like what I've seen and heard.
Okay.
I've never gone anywhere.
You'll
so
have
I don't
to
know,
forgive me that I'm not going to take from what I've seen as heard and heard as like the fact of the world.
Here for a minute. Let's just say that I'm right. Let's
Mhm.
just say I'm right. Okay. In that case, what would you say?
I wouldn't care.
Do you think So do you think that white people are just like smarter than everybody else, and we know that this is like the better way? I'm just
No,
wondering. I'm just wondering what you think about that.
I don't understand how those
Like,
two
why would
things
that
connect.
only be happening in white majority countries?
I wouldn't be able to tell. I
I'm
have no
curious.
idea.
I don't know. I'm just wondering. I'm just asking.
I don't know either. I don't know why this is important though.
Demoralizing
I don't know why this is like an
America
important
by
thing for
definition.
you.
I'll say because it's pushed so hard, and because it's leading to things like diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is turning out to be, and this is turning into a good segue. It's turning out to be, systemic racism that's blowing back on the companies that are instituting these initiatives and these training programs. Because they are just for anti-white racism, and which is like people like me have been saying that. And when this stuff first started rolling out, I said, white people at these companies, if you feel like you're being like discriminated against, you should sue. And that's what's happening. Like, they are suing. It's happening. And we've seen there's a story out right now which I sent to you. That's
It's
the Twitter one.
corporate squatting, if you ask me.
So there's this guy. Crap. Oh, here we go. So this actually happened in Toronto. It says Toronto Public Schools. 1 second. So
Okay,
this
so
might have happened
real
in
quick,
Canada.
just before while you're looking for that, I am sure
it.
because now you're not even keeping things in America. I am sure if you look around the Western world at the thousands of companies that we have, of the thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of employees we have, you are going to be able to find hundreds, maybe even thousands of anecdotes where these things are having negative effects, or that does not mean that overall the effort is negative.
Well, it is when it's clearly like Naziistic in its like intent and like what it is. Yeah, it's something we should oppose, and it's something that's having predictable results. I see what you're saying, but it's not negligible. It is happening on a wide scale, and I think you're going to see more and more of that. I mean, the fact that there are white people winning lawsuits based on these DI trainings and like what these companies are doing based on that, these initiatives, what they're being advised to do. There needs to be way more. I think there's a ton of white people out there that think if they were to do something like that, it makes them a bad white person. Or
So if I go and find like black people winning lawsuits around like racial inequalities and such like that, is that like going to be good enough evidence for you to say that there needs to be more diversity, equity, or whatever this acronym is?
No.
Okay.
DEI, no. And I think that's legit, and they should sue and they should win. I'm not saying that that's wrong or anything, but DEI and all this kind of stems out from, what is a Marxist philosophy, ideology, and critical race theory and all that stuff. So it's a cancer as far as I'm concerned, and needs to be rooted out. And like what we're seeing. So the story I'm talking about, this man ends up killing himself because he is basically berated. He's just berated by this DEI training course for just being a white guy. And there's actual recordings of this, and it drove him to suicide. And this is not isolated to Canada. It's happening faster in Canada because they see more open and malleable, and so it's happening quicker there. It's happening in America too, and there has been school teachers and superintendents who have come forward. There's recordings and from New York where they are like, the stuff that we're doing to the students, the stuff we're teaching them, is making them think that they're like monsters. And there's recordings of this too I can get if you want, but here, let me send a link. Let me share this.
Yeah, he just killed himself. What, like 2 months ago?
There's actual recordings. Yeah, there's actual recordings of what they were saying to this guy.
Sad. Shit.
Here, let me link it. I'll link it in the chat for the stream. There you go. Or the debate channel, voice channel. So it basically says, here, let me put it on the. It says a beloved educator was branded as a bigot in a series of DEI sessions. and it basically drove him to kill himself because he's like, oh, I'm such a horrible. And it's funny, we joke all the time about that.
Hold on a second. So, what is there proof that this is what drove him to kill himself? Because I just read the New York Post article about it, and
because he took mental time out, specifically calling this out for 2 months, and the courts actually looked over the case and reviewed it and granted him his money because of that. He was out for 2 months because of it. He said it.
Yeah, but did he say that this is the was there like a suicide note?
A suicide note? No, he
look, I don't
said
even
he was
like
depressed because of that.
Look, I'm not even like I'll give that to you, whatever. Like we don't know for 100% fact that's why he killed himself. Okay, you got us there, I guess, but just the fact.
But I mean, it could have been, but I just want proof.
Listen to the recordings, like just.
No, I'm sure the recordings are awful. Yeah.
No, right. So that's my point.
Like I said, there are thousands of companies, thousands of school districts. Now you're going outside of the United States. I am sure you are going to find anecdotes of people using this concept. Yes, that's what this is. People using this. I'm sure you can find anecdotes of the people using this concept and doing it in a really awful way. But also, there are also hundreds, thousands of anecdotes of people taking this concept and not doing it in an awful way and it being beneficial. We just don't hear about those because they aren't sensational.
But what evidence is there of them being beneficial?
Right. And not only that, that's true too. That's a good argument because they're shown not to. In fact, that's a great point. I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sure you know what you're talking about. Go for it.
No, go ahead. I want to know where you've seen where they show not
right. He's right about that because these DEI trainings have been shown that they're not having any effect. They're doing nothing, and in fact,
that might be
having
true.
a negative effect.
That might be true. I honestly don't know. I would have to look into the effect of DEI.
If we speak in absolutes, we'll be wrong. Like there are going to be companies that have benefited from DEI training, but the point is it's weaponized. It's being seen as weaponized. And I question for liberal, if it's all good and dandy now, if you project out into the future, can you see DEI training becoming a problem, or it will just be a benefit to society?
I think that if we were to actually, as a society, have a reasonable conversation where people like yourselves are being reasonable in the conversation and people like myself is being reasonable about the conversation, we could probably get a lot of benefit from something like DEI and critical race theory and all that stuff. The problem is that most people will take things to the extreme and do things like, oh, look at this really, really extreme thing that happened that caused this guy to kill himself, even though we don't really have any proof that it's what caused him to kill himself. And then we got other people that are like, everybody's racist and white people are inherently racist and shit like that. There's probably a middle ground that could be really beneficial to helping minority groups not be discriminated against and feel more welcomed within environments where they are the minority, and help majority groups understand some of the things that they may be doing that are a problem for minority groups. They may not be doing it on purpose, but it is things that people do that minority groups have to deal with.
Well,
Miles, go ahead, dude.
What would be those things? I'm just curious.
So something like, and Base Kang, you're black. Have you ever had a white person come up and like touch your hair?
That's super weird if that's ever happened. I would never even consider doing such a thing.
So hold on, there was a whole Family Guy joke about that concept.
But I think it's bullshit stereotype. I don't think that happens.
Well,
nobody does that.
Well, no, so it does happen.
Answer the question.
I'm sure there's black people that have experienced that. I haven't personally experienced that.
Do you think there's white people who have?
Yeah.
No one comes up.
Yeah, probably. It's just like, what?
Okay.
It's such a weird thing to dial
No, I'm just giving you like one of the easier examples.
Speaking of extremes,
that's a stupid example. That's God, I hate that example.
But it's a thing that happens, and it's a thing that happens because black people have a.
Has it been documented?
It's a thing that happens because black people have a different type of hair than white people. So for some reason, some white people like to touch it.
Do black people maybe like to touch white people's hair because we have a different hair type from them? Or are you saying they don't have that defect?
or none?
I mean,
It
I
never
haven't.
happens the other way.
Look, so this is anecdotal, but hold on. Let's see if there's even stats on this. So I'm coming from. I'll fully admit, I'm coming from anecdotes from my black friends. I've never heard a white person say, "Oh, I had a problem with this black person wanting to touch my hair," but I've heard
Right.
like every single one of my black friends say that.
Oh,
All right, my black friends have never told me that happened.
Okay, that's
personally,
great.
but I'm sorry again,
Or-
Black King.
Well, you know, if you're black,
Congratulations.
Or
You
base
played
keg,
yourself.
sorry.
oh god.
Miles,
Yeah,
do you
I've-
feel like people stereotype you? Do you feel like in the workplace or anything you experience in society that you can recall times where you're being stereotyped?
God, I have to really think deep about this.
Well, that's good. That means it's not very often.
Well,
Probably
I mean,
not
it's
then.
I have to
Seriously.
think. Well, only thing I can think about is like, well, I'm in Chicago. It's a very segregated city. You know, it's very segregated. That's the only thing I can really think in terms of racial things. Maybe in the workplace, okay. Not that much. I mean, we will have. I mean, I guess. I mean, okay. Some people might like. Okay, people might use the word N word, but it's general. It's like they're talking about it in general terms. Like I've heard Asians use the
Like
word
when they're generally
Asian
talking about the manager.
Yeah, this nigga. You know, God. Oh God, Discord. Fuck.
As an out of
No,
towner
you're good.
ever,
No, you're
Nobody's on
Rumble, bro.
Twitch.
You're good.
We're on Rumble, so we're good, I think.
as an out of towner
Yeah.
ever approached you and said,
Oh,
"Hail,
it's
my
on YouTube.
Nubian brother."
Can I curse or is it okay to curse?
Go
on
for it.
the
You're
rules?
We're
It's not-
uncensored.
It's not.
Is everybody
It's not
okay?
YouTube.
Thursday
Rumble.
uncensored Discord debate.
Okay, I've heard
Rumble.
I heard some Asians say
Doesn't it feel?
word N-word. Oh my god. And
Yeah.
I might, that's the only thing I could think of at the very moment. I haven't experienced anything.
That's good though.
guess-
That's
I mean,
that's kind of the point I'm trying to
I
make.
mean,
Is that
I'm not gonna make. I
there
wouldn't
is
say I'm
equality.
a norm, but I mean, that's just. I'm just.
You probably are though. Honestly. Like I
Yeah. But
mean,
yeah, I will say
I
Chicago
feel like
is
the
a very
bigger
segregated
inequality
city.
isn't race. It's management treating their workers like crap. I feel like they don't really. I haven't experienced the distinguishing of race in that experience. They've treated everyone like crap equally.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, so
Thank you.
another thing. So just going like a step deeper into going from just people touching your hair, which is like a mild nuisance.
Yes.
There is the concept that black hair, common black hairstyles, is not professional. Something that's
Dude,
changed in recent years, but it was much more true in the past. But it's this idea that common black
can you give an
hairstyles are not
example?
professional, huh?
Can you give an example, please?
Like something like cornrows, afros,
I've heard
or just black people having their hair naturally out.
like
Well, I mean, like,
afros or something.
because I think there's a general hygiene issue with that. Because don't you have to like do certain things to have cornrows properly done, or
I don't know.
pretty sure that
cornrows, what's the difference between cornrows on a black person and cornrows on a white person?
Well, it's much more common for black people
Quality.
to have their hair cornrowed.
Okay. But some white people do
I've
that.
Heard, I've heard,
Was
I've
it-
heard
did-
different things. Like you shouldn't do it. Like it makes you look juvenile. Like I
I
don't know.
mean, all races.
Well, okay, I mean, like, okay, so like that'd be kind of like
Can
me,
white
like,
people have their hair naturally in dreadlocks? And,
No, what if-
and be
or-
professional?
No, see, the thing
or
is,
what
is that,
in the first place.
what if I just decided to have a mohawk with my hair? You know,
see, the thing
Couldn't
is,
do that, right?
is that
Exactly.
those styles that you guys are saying, white people with dreadlocks or I have a mohawk, those aren't common white people styles. Those are, but common black people styles.
dreadlocks. White people have been having dreadlocks going back centuries.
Where
I'm
we
sure
at
there
in the
are.
department?
Okay, so when you think of a white man, what kind of hair do you usually think he has?
Just
What time
because we
period-
normally
what
like
time what time period are you thinking of?
Just like
Thinking of a lot of things.
within between the 90s and now.
The 90s and now? Oh my God, dude.
Now it would be blue.
That could be.
It's-
That could
how
be
about we go to the 80s?
It's usually some sort of
We just
short
say it at the same
kind
time,
of buzz
Ronald.
cut.
We just said it at the same
Um,
time.
Yeah, get out of my head.
Maybe some kind of fade on the side with a little bit longer on top. Maybe you're going.
You have that option.
Well, some people don't have the option. But when you think of like a black person, there's certain styles that you can think of that were not considered appropriate for the workplace. Dreadlocks were common for black people. Cornrows, afros. The only style that was really seen as professional would be like it's just called a shortcut.
I mean, if you're going to use military haircuts for everybody across the board, then that's what your company wants. Then that's what you have to do if you're going to work there. But when it comes down to demographics and where you are in the world, like people view a haircut in particular, they see dreadlocks in Jamaica or in Santa Cruz or something like that. Like, oh, I don't care. But other places, like you're working for a corporate in Washington D.C., yeah, they might have a problem. So
Yeah,
it really depends on where you are in the world.
But what I am saying is that more companies had problems with traditionally black hairstyles than they did white hairstyles.
I mean,
But is that a
dreadlocks
result
being
of racism though? Like,
I mean, kinda, yeah.
Right.
It
Or
probably
did they
is
just
some kind of
think-
bias there.
Or well, maybe
it's
they
also
just have a
because
standard for
of
professionalism.
their hair. If you have
So-
like extremely long hair that just goes everywhere, a lot of people are gonna consider that not professional. If a white lady has her hair uncombed, that's considered not professional. Not because it's a white hairstyle to let your hair droop down without styling it. It's because you're supposed to tie it up or something,
Yeah.
It's just not considered professional. And a
But
lot
it's-
of black
yeah,
kids
yeah,
are like
but that-
bald sometimes. That's a
that
black
idea-
hairstyle.
okay, so
That's
that idea-
professional as well.
That ideal of professionalism just so happens to negatively affect common hairstyles of the black community for some reason.
This conversation's
Can,
nonsensical.
because, can you even prove that though? Like, how is this even proven?
I mean, I can give you
One,
articles, but you're just gonna say that they're
Oh, I'll check out the articles. I'm not gonna, gonna berate you just for nothing. I'll check them out.
Okay.
I'll link them to me.
Okay.
let me read them, make sure they're quality first.
You were saying how it for some reason impacts black people, but like I was saying, it's because it's just no one thinks it looks good. If it's long, again, it applies to white people.
But it's not just
because of
long
that. It just
hairstyle.
doesn't look like.
You have to
Like,
shave, you have to cut
it
your
was
hair,
it was like
Yeah,
a
exactly. It has to be well kept as
Okay,
well. It has
so
to be
can I ask
groomed
this
is
question?
a
and, like,
girl
held
with
back.
cornrows not well kept hair?
Say that again. What is that?
A girl with cornrows is that not well kept hair?
I have no idea what the. What
It depends what job you're going into. I can see
Yeah.
a girl with cornrows and certain jobs being fine. Like,
Yeah, it
no big deal.
depends.
Are you talking about like corporate? Like, it depends. What are we talking about? What type of like environment?
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
It really
Is it a company with an image?
no,
They
it
have a certain
doesn't.
image?
It doesn't matter because if your culture, the overall culture, is negatively
does
affecting
matter.
a certain race of people based off of these arbitrary
Is it
arbitrary
really negatively
characteristics.
affecting a whole race of people?
Yes,
Or
yes.
is it
If you
negatively
have
affecting a very tiny, small
No.
smidgen of
all,
people.
all
If you-
races are going to be affected. So if you're going to look, it's like tit for tat. I think
Yeah,
there's better
okay.
things to debate.
You don't see many white people going
I-
around with cornrows.
agree.
You don't see many white people going around with braids.
Here's my thing. Look, I think, like I said in the chat, I think black people can be awesome. There's so many black people I love. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I love black people. I don't love white people. I don't love any people. I take people on an individual basis, and I do see that like black people can be freaking awesome, and I have no problem with black people. But sometimes I do, like there are these like certain black people that seem like they just want to instigate or something with their hair, and they like get these ridiculous hairdos with like gigantic afros and shit. And it's like, come on. It's like,
Wait,
what are you doing? Like especially like this Tennessee senator.
Dronetek, an afro is just a black person's natural hair being combed
Yeah,
out.
no.
picked out.
Sometimes it's like sometimes it's like oversized. It's like you're just being
But
provocative.
why do you think that they get to say it's oversized? Like why would culture like that's their natural hair? If they grow out their hair,
Whatever,
like
dude. In my natural hair,
listen,
my natural hair, I'd look awful, man, if I just let it go.
But there are people that can just let their hair go.
too.
White women can just let their hair grow grow, and it's
Look,
seen as a beautiful thing most of the time.
There's a societal standard for like what constitutes somebody who's got their shit together, who's focused, who's determined, who's trustworthy.
Yeah, and the
and
fact
all these sort of
and
when you go into those things, people start to doubt, and that's their I don't think it's racial at all.
And
Because like you do the same with any like person you meet.
And the fact that common black hairstyles were seen as none of those things is a part of what makes
It's
this
not just black
system
hairstyles,
racist.
though.
I mean, it
It's
might not
just
be, but
black
like
hairstyles.
it wasn't common
Like,
white
that's
wear.
not true.
It
And
wasn't.
Let me ask you this. Let me
It
ask you
wasn't
this. Why do you
common
not
white
include like
hairstyles.
melanated, like very melanated Indian people? And I always and not just that, but like why is it always like white versus black? Like especially in America where we have Asians who are on the top on nearly every metric, and at the very top we have highly melanated like brown Asian people, Indian people, just Southeast Asian people in general at the top. And like why are like I don't understand why
it is
still,
specifically
they're above white people, like well above white people. So no, I'm just saying, like, I don't understand why it's always like white versus black.
So
when you're
talking about
Hispanic versus Asian, or like
when you're talking about
you see what I'm saying?
when
You
you're
see what
talking
I'm
about
saying?
when you're talking about successful Asians or Indians or stuff like that, they are typically coming from wealthy families that come over
here we
here
go.
at some point.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
There's got to be more than just a few
the
families
same
coming
truth for
over
any
to
group.
Well, it's not just a
measure-
few. We have hundreds of thousands over the past decades.
Their families are doing well. They're not being
generated.
discriminated against and oppressed in this country. Like they're doing fine.
Asians covers a lot of different groups of people.
It does. That's my point.
And
That's my
there
point.
is a whole.
But Asians occupy all the top spots.
There
No,
is
you,
of various
you said that they
degrees.
come
I'll
from
show you.
wealthy families, right? I just looked something up, and there's this whole study talking about how wealth has nothing to do with your intelligence. Now,
I'm not talking about
you-
the.
you
Wait, no,
could-
I'm not talking about their intelligence. I'm talking about their ability to succeed.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they succeed way more in school. Like their success in school is directly correlated to how well they do in life later on.
Okay.
Yeah, but also in the
An argument would be
particularly
opportunity.
the U.S. as well. So I think that's what you're.
Look in the chat when you can, Clock. I have a graph for you. I'm sure you've seen it.
DEI
I'm sure
one?
you've seen it.
Oh.
No. Just as far as
Throw that out for us on the board, Drone.
Okay, if you are measuring the median household income in the United States by ethnic group, if you are
But
measuring
this-
like
this is very close to all other metrics. but
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So if you're measuring something like that, and you're measuring like let's just look at Indian Americans, which is on top. Most Indian Americans that come here are coming here as wealthy people already.
I understand that part, but there's
Well,
more
here,
than that
even
going on.
poor
There is more
Asians,
than
they
that
will
going
still
on.
do well.
Like,
they
let
will
me
still
ask
do
you.
well in school.
Right.
I mean,
And
possibly
there's a
Better than
reason
other
for that.
people.
There
Even
actually
if
is a
they're
reason.
poor, they'll still do much better than others.
Pakistani Americans, like they're rich coming over here. Seriously?
Do you think there's no wealthy Pakistani Americans?
No, it's not.
But that,
no, it's
and
not
besides,
that. I'm
that's not.
saying,
That's
like,
not. Hold on, Pakistani Americans,
You're saying
66,000 is
that's
a middle
all
class.
wealthy Pakistanis?
I think that if you're coming over from America, from across the ocean, you probably have money. There's exceptions, sure.
Well, that's not
Okay.
true at
Does
all,
that go for
really.
everybody? Like,
That's
are you
not
applying
really
that
true
to
at
everybody?
all. I don't really
Honestly.
think that people
Hey,
assume
but
that
you
people
should- you
in
should have
America
thought
are
about that.
very
But you know
rich.
what? That's a good point. I have a question actually.
There is a point. There is somewhat of a point there, but I'm saying you can't just broadly say that.
Where's the Jewish household? Don't they have like the domination of everything after that? On top of Indian?
What would Jews count as?
Anything. So
Yeah, like
don't they-
Judaism
I'm
is a
pretty sure.
religion.
Ashkenazi, yeah.
sure.
So don't they have like even more than Indians? Pretty sure. But why do they exclude them on this one?
Because
I don't know, it's a good
Jewish isn't a
question.
race; it's a religion.
It is a race. Well,
that's-
supposedly.
Judaism is a
A lot of
race.
Jewish people, don't consider themselves white. Apparently, this is something I discovered recently. But yeah,
Of course they wouldn't.
Are they? See, I don't know.
Of course they would.
Are they? I don't.
If you okay,
I don't know a lot lot about it. That's just
Like,
what I've seen.
Jewish people
Like,
are probably going to
Walter
either be
Cronkite.
seen as
You know
white
Walter
or Middle
Cronkite?
Eastern.
Do you know Walter Cronkite didn't
Yeah,
consider
too.
himself white? He considered himself Jewish.
Okay.
I'm just
Yeah,
throwing
yeah.
it out there.
Ashkenazi versus what, the Orthodox, their religion. Yeah, I mean Ashkenazi. That's I want the entire statistics. I don't want just one left out because I know for a fact they make more
Yeah,
money
I'm
than
with you.
everybody else, like on an
Here,
average basis.
yeah, I have a lot of very general graphs here that I can find.
It's like we trying to find. Oh, okay.
You guys definitely need more leftist people in here. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we need more leftists to keep it going. I like what we got
I
going
agree.
though. I got to say that, and we have
I
some
agree.
viewers.
Wait.
I got to tell you, I have a growing viewer base on Rumble right now. I'm growing more on Rumble than I am YouTube.
So the
right
only
now.
thing that your graphs are showing is that there are people in this minority groups that have a higher median income than most whites. And this your second
Right,
graph
but, like-
includes. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
never mind.
where's the white supremacy is basically the point.
Well, that's it. There's multiple points in it. It's like, why is it always cast like white versus everybody else when Asians are actually on the top for one? And we're always told that you can't be racist to white people because white people have all the power and control, and yet Asians are on top of white people, like in that regard.
Probably the
And
main
some of that regard, at least. So like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of bullshittery about.
I mean, have you ever
that's
looked
what
up?
I'm
Have you
saying.
ever, Dronetek, have you ever looked up why this is the case? Why Asians have more?
No, I know, I understand. You just laid it all out, and I don't disagree with you in part, but I think that you're not. I don't think you're hitting on it completely. I think that because and I'm just going to tell you anecdotally that I grew up with a group of Cambodian guys that are my best friends to this day, are very good friends, and their family came over here literally on a plane, on a hop with nothing, on a military hop with nothing, the clothes on their back, and they are freaking like doing very well now. So
That's fantastic. I'm so happy for them.
So like I'm just saying, like I don't think that it, just from knowing these people and knowing their friends and family and stuff, like I don't think it's just like them.
So, but if you're talking about groups, do you think that most of the people that come from Cambodia with nothing on their but the clothes on their back are doing as well as those people?
Yeah,
Not as
I think a
well.
lot of them are. Yeah.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
doing well,
I
not
do.
as well as
I
do.
people who
I do,
came in a
legitimately.
giant private plane. but-
Something else to point out about
They
the
came over on a military hop. They came on a military hop, not like a private planer. It was literally.
Well,
no,
I'm
no,
talking
I
about,
understand
like,
what you're saying.
Escaped Cambodia
Yeah,
during
yeah,
the
yeah.
killing fields stuff. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's not what I was talking
I mean, in order for me to talk about that specific thing, I would have to look at the statistics of how Cambodian people are doing. From because I'm guessing they got refugees.
There's
I'm guessing you're refugees, right?
Yeah, there's people there. It seems like most groups, in fact, I would say, are very just like hardworking for the most part. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something
have
else. So something
trouble.
else to point out. Something else to point out about Asian wealth that often gets overlooked is the fact that the Asian group in America has some of the highest proportions of income and wealth inequality than any other group, and that is because there is a subsect of Asians that came to America in the past and were working class, and they didn't really make it very far. And then we got the subsect of Asians that come over as wealthy people that already have opportunity.
That's not true at all.
That
That's
is
not
true.
From what I've seen. No,
Do
dude,
we
I
have
have.
a time?
That's just not true.
Do we have a time period of which?
Okay, which part is not true?
Well, my personal experience. Can you prove yours?
Well,
Because I have a lot of Asian friends that don't have a lot of money, didn't start off with a lot of money, but they fucking worked their fucking asses off to earn what they have.
Oh yeah.
Now,
So
you're
Well, yeah,
talking
I mean,
about
I have-
engineering degrees. You're talking about whatever degree it is. They worked it. They
I mean,
worked.
I have black friends that like people in my life that.
No, but we're talking
say
about
the same
Asians
thing.
though.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that your anecdotes aren't. So, do you disagree that income inequality among Asians is higher than most other ethnic groups? Is that the part you disagree with?
what do you mean?
No, that's I
Wait,
know.
are you
What do you mean? I'm saying that. No, I'm saying that they worked for it. That's what I'm trying to get at.
So, why is income inequality so high amongst Asians?
There is no racial bias, dude. Like it's all about hard work.
Because
That's
they
all it
What
is.
I'm saying? Okay, no,
It's
no.
their culture.
What
It's
I'm
their culture.
listen.
They
What
have-
I'm
they
trying
have
to
a better they have a better culture. That's just the fact.
Okay,
Like they have a better
what I'm-
generalized culture.
get. What I'm
just
trying
true.
to point out here is
What are you
that
pointing out?
you can pick out anecdotes here and there of people that go from rags to riches in America. It's definitely possible here. However, when you look at the statistics,
Well,
okay, let me finish. When you look at the statistics, statistically speaking, if you come from a poor household, you are probably going to grow up poor. And if you go from a rich household, you are probably going to grow up rich. It's called stickiness at the ends. And if
Okay.
you are, hold on, I'm almost done.
Okay.
If
Okay,
just
gotcha.
as soon as early as 60 years ago, the black people were being denied places in wealthy neighborhoods because of the color of their skin. They were being denied good job opportunities because of the color of their skin. It's going to make it harder for future generations and for black future generations of black people to come up because they are coming from a poor background that was a result of explicit racism. Go.
Well, how do you
Okay,
explain?
so
How do you explain the
it's
successful black people that have gone from rags to riches? How do you explain that then? If
Because
everything is so against them.
individually, it can happen in America, but statistically,
Okay.
it doesn't for
So
any
everybody,
any.
so everybody is individual. Like we're talking about blanket statements here.
Okay, so do you think that the American system is
there's
set up to where everybody can be middle class?
I'm sorry. What
Do
did you
we
say?
all agree it's still a land of opportunity?
Do you think the American system is set up to where every poor person in this country can just become middle class?
okay.
Nowadays,
No,
I would
this is
say
a
so.
thing. This is a
like
very,
in 20,
very
like
common
in 20
misconception.
in
This is
2023.
Yeah.
it's you can't just
Not as
jump
much.
from being a poor person on the street to making 6 figures a year.
I'm talking
That's
middle
not
class.
what
I'm
you're-
not talking
that's
six
not
figures.
what we're
No,
talking
middle
about. That's
class.
not what we're talking about. What we're
That's
talking
like-
about
that's
is the
like
ladder
upper
to
middle.
success. You
Yeah.
get a good job, you do better, your kids do better, your grandchildren you do better, your great grandchildren do better. There
Yeah.
is no way in hell a crack addict on the side of the street is going to start making 7 figures because he's an individual person.
Nobody's
or
talking about
whatever.
7
Yeah,
figures.
that makes a lot of sense, but they can still do well if they try hard enough. They can definitely do a lot better than just being a crack addict on the street, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that everything that y'all are saying. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. To your, I mean, I also think it's a problem when it comes to specifically black people. That is a problem with their culture, and I believe that the mainstream media actually perpetuates divisiveness within their own culture, because you need a strong family unit to have a good family to be successful in finance. You just have to. You have to have that. But unfortunately, right now the black community is really just all they're shown is just, oh well, you should be a gangster or a rap artist or a sports player. They don't promote schooling, they don't promote family units, they don't do any of that. So that's really detrimental, and I do believe that the mainstream media nowadays, social media especially, is a big proponent of why the black community is divided right now
Okay,
Is
so
that a fair
and not
statement, Miles?
succeeding.
real quick, I don't disagree with the things that you just said. However, I have a feeling we're going to disagree on where that stuff comes from. But real quick, you said that you need a strong family unit to be successful in
Comes
this
from
country, right?
comes from Democrats. Comes from
Wait,
Democrats.
hold on. You said we need a strong family unit in order to be successful in this country, right?
It would
It helps.
benefit, yes.
It
helps.
definitely helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. So, statistically speaking, people who come from strong families are probably going to be more successful, right?
Statistically speaking,
If
sure.
they,
Mhm.
if they
But
choose,
however-
if they choose to, they can
how-
have a better
It
opportunity.
is it is a choice. Yeah, it is depends on. Yeah.
Wait.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Wait, it's a choice? So if
Yeah,
a kid
because
comes from
you-
a broken house, that was his choice?
No. If you have a family, if you have a family and you have that good structure,
Mhm.
you could choose to either not utilize what good foundation you have, or you could choose to throw it away.
Yeah, of
It
course.
just helps.
You have-
Yeah, it's a little
But
bit.
but
just
statistically
helps.
speaking, people who come from strong families usually end up successful, right?
I don't know the answer to that question.
No, that's
I
not
think it's a
necessarily
yes.
true.
Is that
It just helps.
okay?
Yeah.
It just helps.
You're likely going to do well if you have a strong. If
You're
you have
likely going to do well
Yeah.
if you have a
well,
strong
if you
family.
have a strong
That's
family.
okay. But
Absolutely.
we can pick
Yeah.
out individuals
Sure. Yeah.
that didn't have a strong family that made it up, right?
Yeah.
Does that mean
Yeah.
that having a strong family is not important?
No.
Does that mean that strong families don't play a factor in whether or not somebody succeeds or not succeeds?
What?
Okay, so if
Okay.
a strong family unit can be a helpful
I
thing,
think you're
sus-
asking us the same question, just in different words.
Yeah, it's basically. It feels like it's the same thing. What the fuck is this?
Okay, but see, okay, let me apply this to what you guys do when it comes to like the black experience or in America. What you guys do is y'all will take anecdotes of black people who go from rags to riches, or anecdotes of immigrants who goes from rags to riches, and you'll say, look, these people were able to do this despite them having to jump these hurdles. So why can't all black people do this?
Your
That- just
definition
because
of
you have
anecdote is someone's experience. That's not an anecdote.
it is an anecdote. It's actually the definition of anecdote.
Okay, so everything is an anecdote. So
No, no.
you can just throw that definition out that window because it applies to literally everything you and this side has said. Literally everyone in this call has referenced an anecdote at least.
Studies.
Yeah, we're basically all using anecdotes.
No, no,
We're not
studies.
like-
Yeah,
Stu-
like
studies-
you're
studies-
using it as like a buzzword. I don't know. Like,
studies
True.
and experiments are not anecdotes.
I
okay,
know,
so
but,
there
like-
are studies that saying strong and complete families actually do help you.
120%
study.
agree. 120% agree. But me being able to point out people who are in strong families that fail and people who are not come from not strong families and succeed does not take away from the results
So you
that
think
strong
there's no
families do help.
benefit to having a strong
No,
family?
no, no.
Even though
I
there's
think there
research?
is a benefit to having a strong family. But what I'm saying is that me being able to pick out anecdotes of that would present the opposite does not make that study any less valid.
Yes,
Yeah.
freedom of choice.
Okay, so all right, so let's just
Wait, I'm
real
so
quick.
confused.
Let's move on here. We're kind of in a rut. I feel like a little bit.
Okay, but hold on. Let me
so-
just. So,
Okay,
so,
go ahead. Good.
So what I'm saying is that just because you can pick out black people that succeed doesn't make studies that say that certain aspects of being black can have a negative impact, essentially be extra hurdles for their success, any less valid. That's all I'm saying.
Wait, so you're saying that complete families do help,
Yes.
but when it shows in real life that it helps, it doesn't help.
No, that's
because
not what
it
I'm saying.
doesn't prove it.
No,
okay.
being from a strong family statistically makes success much more possible.
Okay, so you're saying we just can't point at a person and say that was all from having a complete family.
What I'm saying is that you can't give an anecdote and expect that to be a counter to the studies that say that coming from a complete family, it helps people be successful.
So you're not disagreeing with us at
No,
all,
I
right?
am not. But what I'm disagreeing
it's,
is
it's
what
funny, the
I'm,
way you're putting it is just funny.
no, but what,
Yeah,
see,
it's just a bit
no,
confusing.
no, no. What I'm doing is I'm applying that
potential.
same logic to studies that say that black people have extra hurdles to success. But you guys will look at
Oh, okay.
yeah.
okay.
So you guys will look at a black person who was successful and be like, well, no, this guy was successful. That means there was no extra hurdles.
Because he was black.
Huh?
Is that what
Yeah,
you're
that's
trying?
what we're trying
Is
to
that what
get
you're?
at,
Is that what you're?
exactly.
That you're thinking that we don't think that they don't have any hurdles because they're black?
Yeah.
You know. Okay. Well, I think nowadays they got. I mean, for the last 40, 50 years, they've had the law on their side for a long time now.
Okay, but the
Is it all
law
schooling?
isn't the only hurdle. Like,
What was the only hurdle? What was
I
the
would
other
just
hurdles?
advise
Social-
that
social
no one here is
aspects, like-
a group.
yes.
Like we can't just say y'all are doing this because everyone here is an individual. So if you have a point to make, that's cool. But calling everybody out here is doing something.
I'd agree with that.
is-
I don't
is not
tolerate
really
bigoted
accurate.
behavior in a political discussion. Thank you.
Okay.
Like, we're not. No one. There's no.
I mean,
nice
you're-
stick here, I don't think.
You're right, technically.
We are not a monolith.
I mean, RW, do you disagree with? Do you agree that black people have extra hurdles to success than white people?
I believe that through the evidence of history, they had it much harder than white people in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
And
What about
where
today?
it's at now, I'm not
Yeah.
sure how it's
Okay.
all working out. It seems like a clusterfuck,
Honestly,
in my
Well,
opinion.
can I ask
Oh,
you
wow.
this?
Well,
what do you think about black people that come from like, African countries that come here and they succeed just fine?
Usually
The-
the black people that succeed from African countries are from wealthy families already.
Oh, here we go.
It's
Just like
true.
your trump
Everyone
card.
just
It's your
wealthy,
trump
dude.
card.
It's just true. Black
So
people
it's
who come from like
so
wait,
racism
black
doesn't affect
wait.
them. They have a shield against it.
they're already successful.
Oh,
People
so
from
like
Africa
when I so like
are more
so like
successful than the
all right,
average
so
person
look,
in America.
no, let me ask you this. I worked at a this is before I met my wife. I worked at this warehouse where I remade printers, right? And restored printers, and it was like all freaking Africans working there. I was like the only white dude. There might have been like one other white dude there, but like I'm sure all those people have done well for themselves in the country. Like they were, and they all hated like American black people. I remember like they would talk shit about American black people, and yeah, and I mean, what do you think about them? They definitely weren't wealthy.
Wait, how do
Is
you?
that another?
What
Is
I
that
think
another
Cluck
anecdote?
is.
Can't use anecdotes.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can. Do you want me to pull up the
Personal
statistic?
experience.
You want me to pull up the articles of people who look at this shit and say, oh, well, yeah, a lot of these Africans that come over here and are wealthy or come from wealthy places.
Okay, so what this feels like to me though is a
don't.
type
I
of situation
take
of
your opinion.
correlation does not equal causation. People are doing bad and they're black, therefore they are doing bad because they are black. Not necessarily. It's more about their culture. That doesn't really have to do much.
Where does that culture
with
come from?
That culture
Yeah.
comes from a mix of African culture and American culture. If you're talking about African American.
So like, what made African Americans' culture so different from every other race's culture in America?
You're asking the wrong questions. You should be asking what perpetuates that bad culture.
No, I'm asking.
Wait, I'll answer this. I'll answer
Okay,
this.
go ahead.
What was your?
No, go ahead. Man.
What was it?
My question is, what made African American culture so different and so toxic when compared to white American or Asian American or any other racist
Because
culture?
they also, I said also. They also had African culture
Also.
mixed into it. Yeah.
So wait,
They
if
also
that's the
had
case, then
African
how
culture
is
mixed into
Africans
it.
able to come here and be successful?
Because they don't have the American culture mixed in with it.
Okay, so it's only when it's a combination of African and American culture.
I think maybe there's some truth there.
Okay.
There may
I
be some
think
truth to that.
Okay, I think you have to probably look in the past because I mean you look at let's look at the race of single motherhood among the black community versus versus like I guess in the 60s or 50s. Like it's definitely higher now. So something must have happened. I guess I was arguing American culture in general that increased the rate of single motherhood. So like things of that nature. We know that, not say that single mothers can't do it, but it's a lot harder to do with one parent.
For sure.
It's
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I said American culture, it's not just, American people and African people together, boom. It's a combination of different things, but it's African people coming into American culture that made African American culture, right? Like, yeah, it's many different things that made I guess the traits of the African American culture. I guess if you want to talk about modern, I guess you could say like, I don't know. You could call me racist. You could say this is stereotypical, whatever. But black kids now they're being told like, oh, like, I don't know, guns are good, be a gangster, blah blah blah. Like you'll see it in rap songs and everything. And that's not just because Africans came to America. It's a combination of many, many different things.
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay, so real quick on the single motherhood statistic. It's absolutely true that single motherhood has increased in the black community, but it also increased in the white community, and both of the communities roughly doubled. But we don't see like a hindrance of white success because of the increase in single motherhood.
Well, they're not
What
top
was-
anymore. Well,
Yeah. So don't you
They
think
might
it's
have
also
both
just
doubled. That doesn't mean they're the same, right?
Oh no, they're not
Yeah,
the same.
So that's also a correlation, right? A racial correlation. Now, like again, what's perpetuating this culture of lack of a nuclear family? What do you think is doing that?
I think that the culture in general has been more accepting of people leaving their spouses.
Yeah,
Now than in the past.
Why is that a thing? Because of why?
I don't know. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing.
I think that's a terrible thing. That's a detrimental thing.
spouses?
That's a fucking terrible
Yeah.
thing. What are you talking
I think that if
but not even getting married in the first place, or just people not.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Well, you know where it stems from is just the lack of a nuclear family foundation. which also is the erasure of religion and Christianity and what our country was founded on.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. It doesn't have to necessarily. Like, see what? That was the foundation. What do you think the nuclear family came from? It was based off of. Now you eliminate all that, and slowly you get people that just think their own. They become narcissists. They become their own gods.
Okay.
What do you think marriage institution was based off of? So
I
if you
mean,
take away marriage, you take away all that stuff. You take away everything.
yeah,
And now
but
look where we're
I
at.
mean, you're talking to somebody who
We're gonna
doesn't
get on a
really
bigger subject.
like the idea of marriage in the first place. But that's like a
That's
whole
fine.
other
No,
conversation.
Guys, let me tell you, get married. Get
I
married.
figured. No, I figured you didn't believe that in the first place. And also, who said that before? Who's
I don't.
the RW or?
So what would be like? Okay, so let me ask. Okay, I guess debate marriage. What would be like the alternative? Like, what would be the best system for children to be in? Like,
No,
'cause I'm thinking-
I think that the better option is to prevent the pregnancies of people who aren't planning on staying together in the first place and
I
raising a
agree with
family.
that.
I
I
agree.
agree with that. I think that conservatives definitely need to be more on the like give people option birth control. Teach people like if you do not want to have kids, let's make sure they
You're-
don't. So they
yeah.
don't be end up abortion. If you let's okay.
Yeah,
I
fair
think
enough.
yeah.
That will be
So they
built
won't-
into the Neuralink. It'll automatically turn off your testicles.
Great. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Do you know how long I've been waiting for
RW
male birth control that's not a condom? Condoms suck ass.
Oh, why don't
I
you
mean,
just
you
get a
can.
vasectomy?
It's
In the
just
form of a
Just
Neuralink
get a
chip?
just get a vasectomy. Then.
Because one day I might change my mind on having kids.
I
Well,
thought
then
it's
you
like vasectomies. I don't
make
know.
to make up your mind.
What do you mean make up my mind?
Make up your mind, dude.
Well,
I
one
would
day
say-
I think
Oh,
it's
you
like
know what?
Our
You know what
minds
you could
change,
do
that's the
is
problem.
freeze your sperm on the black market of Facebook. That's what you could do.
true.
Ah,
I think
Very
male birth
specific,
control.
Riddle.
I
Very
think male birth
specific,
control is like
very-
5 years in the future.
Yeah.
Oh god, we have to figure. I don't know. We
I don't
definitely
think
gonna
I've
have to
seen that
figure
on
out
Marketplace
encourage
yet.
people to have kids because I think we're going through a birth. We don't have enough people. Okay, someone's gonna have to do something.
Yeah.
You know what, RW?
Yeah.
I want you to chime in on marriage and religion and the foundation of the nuclear family. I want you to say something about it.
I'm not sure what to say on it. Do you have a question about it?
Yeah. What do you feel? How do you feel about it? Should people do
I
this
think
or
that
not?
the union, the dedicated union of a relationship that is a healthy relationship,
Uh-huh.
benefits both people and gives their offspring a healthy environment to grow up in, to prepare for the world that's out there. And I think that a divide and conquer tactic seems to be happening around society to take away the need for a family unit, or I'm not really sure how to say that there, but
Okay. So, do you believe in marriage or not?
I do believe in marriage. I believe that that is a very sacred thing. I also believe that the aspect of life and the value of life is a part of the larger controversy. We are talking about it in different ways, and different people here have different beliefs on what the value of life is. I would think also.
Okay.
Well, what do you? Okay, let me ask. What do you think's led to like people not being all into marriage? Because something must have happened. I've seen a lot of people become cynical, maybe not like thinking, oh, they don't want a relationship.
Well,
And hell,
would
not
you
even want a
rather do what you're
relationship.
told or do whatever you want?
yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Would I mean personally? Do you enjoy doing what you're told more, or do you enjoy your freedom of choice?
Freedom of choice, of course, but I'm
I
just
think that's
asking.
the answer to the bigger
I
question.
I, th- I think there's a bigger I think there's a mix between that, right? There should be. I mean, it's too black and white, right? Depends on what the situation is, what it's about.
And
Do you
now,
believe
now
do you
it,
believe what you're being told, or do you want to do what you want? What do you mean? Like depends on the situation, doesn't it?
Yes.
Can you specify? The example?
Well, who's
Can you
telling
specify
people to
something?
get married in society in this day and age, as opposed to earlier on when it was a cultural norm for Judeo-Christian governance? I'm not really sure who's advocating for marriage now or against. I don't really pay attention to it because I've already.
Hey,
I just don't pay attention.
I just like it. I just think it's a good thing, and you should all do it.
I think it's a net positive for sure. Yeah.
I,
Hey,
Didn't it
marriage
be-
is fun. I mean,
good
I like
thing.
being married and having kids. I waited until I was like 35 to do it, though. So
yeah, and that's another thing people I'm noticing. People are waiting later to do it now, and it's like, and that's
Yeah.
well, that's a
It's
whole
be- it's-
different question for women.
It's because it's because it's a decadent culture. Like it is overall as like a society as a whole, right? Like I mean, and that kind of fucks women over, right? Because they have a biological clock, whereas men can just we have time. We can,
well, my wife
produce
was
babies whenever.
my wife was 27 when we got married. So
Oh, you funny.
So that's not a
yeah.
so.
She was right at the right point. It worked out.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Although younger would have been better, obviously, but
Yeah.
No, they worked out great. What am I saying?
No, what are you talking about?
They worked. It did. It did.
I'm talking about biological clock, like when it comes to having kids, not marriage.
Right. Well, exactly. Well, no, I know. We had 4 kids, so.
Oh, before that?
No.
That's
one before that.
Well, hey, you married her, so that's all that counts.
Exactly.
So apparently, real quick, this is back to an old topic. Apparently, American Airlines used to ban and prohibit dreadlocks.
Oh, I know
Married.
about this.
Uh,
Yep. I wrote a whole
cornrows and
essay on
braids.
this, dude.
Hey, what do you think? Hey, let me ask you this, Cluck. What do you think about a white guy getting attacked for having dreadlocks by?
That's cringe and shouldn't happen, and is very bad.
All right, there you go. I'm glad to hear you say that.
How many, Riddle?
But that's just a white guy and he's using his natural hairstyle. Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's
I
cringe
know I'm
and
not
shouldn't
supposed
happen
to
and
drink
very
in
bad.
these.
Like, what do you want me to say?
I didn't start until
if
the
they're-
stream started. So
If they're attacked, then the attackers should probably go to jail.
I don't think that happened. But do you remember that when that happened? It happened at a college. I could find it. There's video of it.
I remember there was a cringe.
I bet it's not the only time it's happened.
Well, probably not.
Hey, you know
We're
what?
a
You know what
country
we
of
should
300
talk
million
about?
people.
That I think is really interesting. There was this video done a couple. We might have talked about it on another stream, but there was a video done by I have to look it up. Who was it? Not okay. It's not. It wasn't Crowder. It was somebody like him. But he went to an HBCU, and he just wanted to debate people.
You talking about John Doyle?
John Doyle. There you go. That's who it was.
Good to have you here,
Did you
Miles.
see that? Did you see that stream?
I don't know who John Doyle is.
I think I've heard of it.
He's
videos.
At the end,
he's
at the end, they were trying to pick up chairs.
yeah.
His
Like I thought that was
his
crazy.
security was like
I'm not,
swarming.
and again, let me right, and let me be clear. I'm not trying to like say there's something crazy with black people. I'm not saying anything like that. Okay, what I'm saying is that the HBCUs are turning these normal black children into crazed maniacs
No,
who
but
don't
you
know what the
are.
fuck they're talking about.
I'll put it in chat.
It's
Wait, was this college students?
Yeah, like
Show
these
me a
people,
college
like,
student who
they
knows what
all
the fuck they're
sound like-
talking about.
I mean, you probably go to any college and being white students and get the same kind of stupidity, but yeah, you got to see it. It's so cringe.
what is
Yeah,
that?
no, I think this
Acme
society
means
should be-
historically black university. What is
Yeah.
it?
Historically black colleges and university.
All right.
So, hey, here's a hot take. I think that if historically black colleges and universities wanted some diversity, which they should,
Oh yeah.
they should start affirmative action for white people and Asians and Hispanics.
No, I would love to see.
I disagree.
No affirmative.
No,
Just let
no,
people
that's-
get in
that's-
on their own
That's
freaking
like a
merit.
that's like a negative. Negative makes a negative. There's a reason why they got rid of affirmative action, because it's based on race and it shouldn't be, which is the entire foundation of a historically black college university. It's all based on race, which is understandable, considering the history. So I don't think that should be a thing. If they want it, they should have it. But it shouldn't be.
Well-
that shouldn't be an affirmative action thing.
I
should
don't
be-
think it's people are against affirmative action because people are black. I mean, just if they get into the college, let them in the college. If they don't
Right.
apply, then they don't apply.
Right.
Well, no,
Exactly. Like I'm not against black people being in college, but I am against racial discrimination against people by the government or by institutions.
Yeah, but an
you shouldn't do that.
but an HBCU is a different story, right? I mean, that's specifically for.
I'm okay with that. Like if that's just a place, if they're only accepting black people, that's a problem. But like if it's just historically black and that's just historically where black people go, I'm okay with that. Whatever.
There's some
Like,
situations where you
Just have a vote. If it's have a vote.
If it's a private entity university, it would definitely have different
or that.
rules.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait, so
For
if
sure.
the historically black colleges, I mean, I would imagine there are white people that apply. Do you think all the white people that apply
There's
get in?
white people there. No, there's white people there.
But do you think that like there's white people that were that were like turned away because they were white?
I don't know about that. I'm not looked into that. I do know that there are white people who go to these schools, but yeah.
Yeah, I know there's white people that go.
Just real quick for a bit of democracy in the chat. If anybody is in the whiteboard, you use a pencil with a color that's not already used and put a dot next to a topic idea if at any point in time you're ready to move on, just so that everybody has a say.
Gotcha.
Well, I was going to go on to that whiteboard.
You want to argue? Who the hell do you think you are?
Grandma trying to help.
Hey, I just want to remind everybody watching. I want to remind everybody watching on Rumble. Thank you, by the way, for watching. And just so you know, you can join us. I'm gonna put a link right now in the chat of the stream, and you can join us if you want.
If you're watching on
That's it.
Rumble, you should follow my Rumble so I can start live streaming there.
Yeah, I'm actually growing on Rumble, dude. It's crazy. Like, just since I did the last stream, there's been a lot of growth on the. So I'm kind of excited. I'm like, ooh, let's start doing more stuff on Rumble. So yeah, you should come over.
No, I've already got a Rumble. I just can't live stream there because you gotta have 25
It'd just be
followers.
cool to get another channel going on Rumble.
Oh, you have to. You have to pay. I don't know. How can you live stream?
How can you live stream? You just
Do you have to pay extra or something?
No, you don't.
You gotta have 25 followers and then you can start live streaming.
Oh, really? That's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Is it?
Kind of.
25 Cluck? You don't even have.
Where do you get
25
those?
on board?
I guess you can use.
I am up to 1.21k
How
followers.
many do you have, Cluck?
On Rumble, I got 2.
A little short. You're a little short, bro.
I'll pitch in. I'll pitch in.
Thanks
I
for all my
appreciate
followers.
it. No, I don't. So I didn't make my live streaming stuff to be able to like gain followers and shit. I just wanted to talk to people, and I found that like if you say
me
you
too.
have a live stream, more people are willing to talk to you.
Yeah, for sure.
You should grow your live stream so more people.
No, I don't care about your live stream. I just like talking to you, liberal Cluck.
Oh,
Have you noticed that? Have you noticed I don't care? Like if you got a streamer.
Well, of course, if like me having a stream benefits you 0. But like because I've had because I have a stream, I don't think that like Rob Nor would have talked to me if I didn't if I wasn't a streamer. I don't think I would have had an opportunity to even talk to him in the first place.
No, you're wrong because I've actually suggested he talk to you, and if I've just suggested it, but if I was like, hey, Liberal Cluck really wants to talk to you, let's do it, he would do it. I guarantee you.
Maybe.
Do you want to talk to Rob DeWar?
No, I've already done it a couple times. I think he's kind of. I think he's
Rob DeWar. I feel like I'm
100%.
missing out on something.
I think he's sick of me.
I thought you did.
All right, let me tell you something. Okay, I used to have a lot more respect for Rob Nord than I do now. And listen, the reason why is because on one of our debates, he said something that was. He said that he was insinuating that. Okay, so what he said was, gosh, I got to remember how it was. If immigrants were beneficial to the economy, why don't wealthy people pay to house them in their neighborhoods? That was a stupid point to make. And I just looked dumb engaging with it.
You debated Rob DeWar?
I've debated Rob Noir a few times.
Wait, who's Rob Noir? I'm sorry.
Okay, let me just bring everybody up to speed real quick. Rob DeWar, he in my opinion is the best debater that we got on our side.
Probably, that's true.
He's
he is
good.
like this sort of undercover. People don't know about him yet, really, but they need to because he's this upcoming figure. He has run for Congress before as a Republican. He's currently working as a nurse, I believe, and he does some other stuff. But this guy is legit.
Male nurse?
He also in college he was on the debate team. He was like this big star on the debate. The guy knows his stuff. He's destroyed Destiny, who's supposedly like among the best debaters out there.
I don't know
He's
about
destroyed that
destroyed.
man on many occasions.
Especially like his later debates. Once Destiny got used to his debate style, I think that Destiny does a really good job at holding his own against Rob Nor now.
Destiny, honestly, he's
I think
not,
Rob
like,
is the
super
shit. I just
great,
want to say that. I love that guy.
Rob
Rob's
Nor
the
is
best.
crazy. Just don't. He just shouldn't drink though. I'll tell you one thing.
He doesn't drink.
while he's debating. I've seen it a couple times.
Does he?
No, right? Yeah, no. Rob, this is a while ago.
I haven't seen
though,
Rob drink.
He is one of the best debaters, but I have seen him before on like a. This was maybe like a year or two ago.
If it's been a while since you've seen him, he's definitely he's very tight. His whole thing is very tight now. It's very.
Did y'all see him on the
That's good. That's good.
Did y'all see him on Kick or Keep? That was like his last debate.
Yeah, I did.
I
I watched
honestly,
it.
I think that Not So Erudite shouldn't have won
I did
that.
a video of it. I did a video of it.
Not So Erudite floundered in the end.
No. What are you talking about? He obliterated Destiny. He eviscerated.
Obliterated.
Wait, hold on. I'm talking about the Kick or
him.
Keep. That was his last debate.
Absolutely destroyed.
Ultra combo.
Wasn't Destiny's and Rob's last? What was the topic of Destiny's and Rob's last?
Well, the big thing they were arguing about was the Biden scandal and everything between the Burisma bribe and all that.
Yeah.
And Rob made the case. He did, and to the point that the moderator, who did not agree with Rob, was like, you gotta admit. He's like, you gotta admit, there's definitely something weird there. Like, you got. Yeah, Counterpoints was like, I don't agree with Rob, but like I do, like you can't deny what he's saying here. That they were talking about the meeting and this meeting where they supposedly set all this up, and the fact that they claimed that it was just a meaningless meeting, and it didn't, it was just nothing. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but Rob made a perfect point showing that it was more than that, and it was undeniable.
So when the Twitter files came out, one thing that I saw that I thought was really weird at first was the fact that there was this company that did a what if scenario, like a wargaming scenario, for if Hunter Biden's there was information leaked about Hunter Biden with the Twitter head of security or whatever. And I thought that was really weird until I saw that earlier that year, Burisma had been hacked by Russia. And then I was like, okay, well then it's probably understandable that they would think that there would be some kind of information campaign coming out about Hunter Biden through Russia. So I have a feeling that whatever that situation you were just talking about was, and we can find it. Somebody posted the debate. Probably is something similar.
Are you talking about the latest debate or?
Oh, this is you talking about the debate. This isn't the debate.
No, not me talking about it. I don't show up in it until the very, 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 very end.
But you should just steal the content.
That's not the no. I didn't steal.
Oh, this is a clip. This is a clip. Okay, I see.
And I know Destiny too, and I've debated with Destiny. Anyway,
you should tell Destiny to debate me.
You did.
Wait, well, let me ask.
Cluck
What would you
does
debate him
want
on?
to debate. I would pay to see that. That would be awesome.
What would you debate him on? I want.
Who?
Liv, what would you debate him on?
Yeah, Cluck, what would you debate Destiny on?
That sounds like a trying to get clicks.
Yeah.
It sounds like
I hear
there's
clicking.
no response. I hear clicks. There's no response.
You're just getting clicks.
I'm
You're
looking
just
for- I'm
getting
looking
clicks.
for-
He's getting clicks.
Wait, are y'all asking me a question?
Yeah, we were asking you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was watching this clip. What were you saying?
What do you want to debate Destiny on?
Oh, I want to debate him on the oldest thing is probably going to be the filibuster. Some recent stuff is that he says some stuff
I'll
about.
debate you on the filibuster.
Okay. He said some stuff about. Oh gosh, you guys are not going to like this. All right. So he says something about a if a teacher. You and I, Forg, actually talked about this. If a teacher,
Oh
if he
yeah,
found
yeah,
out
I
that
know.
his son's teacher was calling his son a she/her,
Oh,
and
yeah, I
didn't,
remember.
and he found out through somebody else, the teacher didn't tell him. He would have a problem with that. That's the thing I want to debate him on.
The fart
Well,
noises.
can you like
What was?
can you stop that shit?
There was probably some other
Let the
stuff, but I
man
can't
speak.
think of it right now.
All right. I have a question actually. My first one is, what do
Okay.
you think about Kyle Cluck? Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle
Do you know
Rittenhouse?
much about that?
So
Yeah.
somebody in my community actually showed me the video of Kyle Rittenhouse when all that stuff was like first starting to be talked about, and I was like, oh, this kid looks like he was defending himself. There was a period where I was like, maybe I was like toying with the idea that maybe he was like morally responsible for the death because he did put himself in that situation unnecessarily. But I've mostly backed off for that position.
Okay.
And I yeah, I just went back to my
So I've
original
wanted to
position.
debate something about that for a while.
I don't know. Maybe you can find
What
out.
is there to debate?
I mean, he
Yeah,
he
like-
crossed. No, he
Cluck.
crossed state borders. That's the thing.
Right.
He crossed state borders. Yeah.
Cluck,
20 minutes
do you think
away.
what Kyle Rittenhouse did was justified or no?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if he didn't shoot those people, he probably would have died or got
Yeah,
incredibly
good.
injured.
All right, man. Liberal Cluck
Common
is grounded in
ground.
some reality. We have to. Wow. we have to reevaluate here.
But like,
Okay.
I think anyone who like watched that trial should
I
come
watched
to that
the whole
conclusion.
trial.
I did.
whole
I watched the
trial was
trial.
a
Yep.
smackdown. It was.
It was. It really was.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think something happened with the judge. They were saying, I forgot. Something
It
with
was
Chinese-
so
I have a
crazy.
short. I think I have a short that's like 5 million views. That's about the Rittenhouse trial from
Dude,
something from the Rittenhouse.
And
trial.
the prosecutor brought out a gun, put his hand on the trigger, and pointed it at the judge. Like, what? It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, what the hell was that guy's name?
I don't know, but
God.
He
it
was
was
a
like
joke.
Ben Shapiro said this thing over and over again, and I will give him props because it was very true. He got his degree out of a Cracker Jack box. Oh my lord.
Shit. Yeah.
the judge.
No, the
No, the-
prosecutor. The
Ah,
judge
ah.
was pretty
Yeah.
much on Kyle's side the whole time.
Yeah, the guy that
Yeah,
that looked
yeah, I
like,
remember.
what was his name from
Right.
Half-Life? He looks like the guy from Half-Life.
Oh yeah, he
Like the,
does.
Doesn't he? Doesn't he look? He
Yeah,
looks like the guy from fucking
does.
Half-Life.
like
Yeah.
like
Gordon.
Gordon.
Freeman.
Gordon,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gordon Freeman.
Yeah, oh, God.
My nerdism is coming out. Shit.
You know what I'd like to play?
We all
How
respect that.
many of you guys have VR?
I got VR.
Oh, I used to play on it.
I want to play some VR golf. Some there's a golf game. Like I love it, and I need to find a new group to play that with.
I'm down to play it.
You know what? Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, that's it.
No, okay. I was thinking, this might be a good debate. Okay, in the future, I guess holograms and virtual reality would it be ethical to, I guess, act out all your fantasies? It could be anything. It can include violence too.
Oh, moral. Oh, this is kind of like the new GTA. I feel like is it ethical to go around doing these awful acts, even though it's like a video game, right?
Oh, dude, who cares? It's a video game.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really.
Well, it's more of if we get into VR.
But yeah, VR. If you like have a fantasy of raping a woman and then you do it in VR, I mean, is that really? Doesn't that cause a bit of concern, right?
Oh,
There's probably that going on, like because there's
Oh,
these
yeah,
programs where you
definitely.
can like set up.
well, yeah.
scenes
You
and
know what?
stuff, yeah.
It's true. VR is
Okay,
VR is a
yeah.
Which is
completely-
weird as fuck. I don't really get it myself.
Yeah.
It's like
VR
I'm
is a-
just gonna go bang a real woman.
VR is a different monster. That's and when it comes to that
Yeah.
specific thing, like I've killed many people in games, done many weird things, but I don't think I've ever pretended to even rape a woman, even with a controller. Like
Oh yeah, true.
that's
you're
that's
right.
that's
That's
fucked
like
up.
That's
something
pretty
wrong with you if you're gonna
crazy,
do
yeah.
that. That's
That's
like
a different.
Yeah,
I
brought
think
up
like
kind of in a
laughing
very
at somebody dying is fucked up. Much less that. Like it's like it's
I mean, I
yeah.
laugh at people dying in video games, but
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
not in
because
real,
like
not in real life. Real life is, I mean,
completely
that's fucked.
different for sure.
That's fucked up. I mean, it hurts your soul. It's
And
like
do you guys know Ronnie McNutt? Do you guys know him?
that. No, never.
Yeah, it hurt, man. He was a veteran and he killed himself because of a lot of unfortunate things. And he like live streamed it to his Facebook and it was crazy. Like the whole internet was just going ape shit. They're like making jokes about it. Just made me really sad.
That's
It
fucked.
was
Why did you do
awful.
it?
It was a few different reasons. He was like a veteran. His girlfriend divorced him. I think there are problems with his with like money or something. But I think the biggest reason was his girlfriend left him, and that just like completely destroyed him.
Yeah, man. Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
That's
I wouldn't really
terrible.
consider the internet a place where you're gonna get much sympathy either. They're pretty brutal.
It's
Yeah.
also just it's odd that I mean, was he man? I mean, if you're gonna go out, like, why do that to other?
Live
Like,
stream.
why
I
why
don't know.
why traumatize? You're gonna traumatize your audience, but it's like, damn, what? Why? I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know.
Is
It's just fucked
is
up.
anybody playing Baldur's Gate?
The third one?
Yeah.
No, I haven't played it, but it looks awesome.
Anybody
Have
here?
you also? I was telling Cluck about this. There's like a scene where there's like a what's it called? The people that can transform into animals. What are they?
Druid.
Yeah, it turns into like a bear, and I saw like a very short clip where it's like getting on top of someone all sexy, and it just creeped me out. I don't know.
What the fuck?
I don't know what that was. I'll look it up.
Hey, they got those subliminal
So-
messaging all over the place. It's
Millionaire in the,
everywhere. It's everywhere, dude.
In the
That's,
Rumble chat, Millionaire's calling out Riddle. I think he said if you've ever
Couple
played
years. Have you ever played a first person shooter? You have teabagged someone. Yeah, I've teabagged someone. That ain't rape though.
Yeah.
That's real hard though.
Yeah, I think that's a lot different from
Yeah.
like flat out raping a woman in VR.
Yeah, I mean, I played. Yeah, you got Call of Duty, Halo. Those are probably the only two real, popular ones that I played.
Okay.
Yeah, where you can easily teabag.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
There's actually some controversy about that at one time.
I have a question here. Has anyone in this group used ChatGPT personally?
I do all the time.
No. Fuck that. That's bullshit. You should never use AI.
What? No, I'm definitely gonna get good at using it. Yeah.
I used.
Yeah, well, then we're all fucked.
I used ChatGPT
I
to
have
come up
to.
with my D&D
I'm
character.
gonna get left behind if I don't.
All I'm saying is I'm never pursuing a career in chemistry, and I hated it. That's all I'm saying, man. Fucking awful.
Chemistry.
I do not mind using ChatGPT for such a useless subject.
I use it
Well,
for grammar, like Grammarly. What Grammarly like charges you for, I use ChatGPT to get it for free.
Oh, okay.
I didn't pay
That
any
can
attention to it until
happen?
my cousin brought it down and showed me that instead of just creating prompts or stories or simple things, he uses it as a secretary. He's like, make me up a meal plan that doesn't include gluten, and then itemize it by grocery store list aisle and get it ready for me. So I thought that was pretty cool that you can use it.
I use it
but
for
then-
videos to help me
that
like
also- doesn't that
grammar
also
check and.
Doesn't that also pinpoint everything about you though?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about gathering information about citizens. Like that's just all it is.
He's more than happy to trade his information for the
For a nice meal the next day.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, oh, okay. You just asked specifically the grocery store in the specific aisle. How do you think they get that? From your location.
I'm not sure where the public database comes from. I think they just are. What I can't believe is
think
how
they do that.
fast it can perform the task. Like that. Blows my
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Well, it's all because all the information is already being gathered upon anyways. It's been happening for at least the last 15 years. What do you think smartphones are?
But if it's grabbing from a personal database or even crawling the internet real quickly and grabbing all that information and throwing it down in front of you, it's still impressive. It's just despite the Skynet situation, it's still impressive.
The technology is impressive, but it shouldn't be surprising at this point.
I mean,
So,
I don't.
I mean,
really
I
think
just
they
it just
can do that
it just
stuff,
worries me.
so it was surprising to me.
Yeah, well, the world's about to change in the next fucking 5 years. You thought it changed in the next
Clock, do you
5 years?
use
5?
AI?
That's gonna
Yeah,
change.
I used ChatGPT to come up with help me
Oh.
come up with my D&D character.
Oh boy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna send the
Dude, I used to
bear
have. I
scene.
could tell you all about my old dude. Oh, you know what? Actually, real quick, there's something I want to get into that I totally forgot about, which I want to quickly mention. We might get back into if you want to, about Best Buy. I have some crazy stories I could tell, which I was going to do when we were talking about Best Buy, but I forgot. But continue, whoever was going. I might get back into that.
I think that was mostly.
Are you guys interested in hearing any of these crazy stories from
I'll
Best
hear
Buy?
out the stories. I got nothing else
And
to
this is
do.
your feed. Just go for it.
Well, I wanted to tell them just because, like, fuck Best Buy, basically, because they're just like they're especially now that I'm seeing these, they're doing these, basically management preparatory classes specifically for everybody but white people, which is so fucked up. It's just if you believe in the principle of not racially discriminating and you're against racism, I don't understand how your brain can do somersaults until it gets to a point where you can do that. You know what I mean? I don't get it. I still don't get it, even though Liberal Click defended it. I don't get it.
Wait, what is it? Hold on, repeat that.
Best Buy.
I just heard my name. What is it?
Well, no, I was talking about Best Buy again and their management
Yeah,
program
well,
and
I
all
already
that.
said that. I don't understand why Best Buy is still deploying this kind of tactic.
Right. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right. You
because
did
Best
say
Buy
that.
doesn't
You
have
were
the
saying-
issue that I was bringing up earlier.
Right, which pretty much proves there's something fucked up going on there. Because,
Well, I think they probably had that issue at one point, and they just kind of going overboard at this point.
right. Well, I'll say that Best Buy has been corrupt for a long time. So I used to work for Best Buy. I was in the PC home office department going back. I worked there in like 1998, 1999, 2000, probably in that area. I can't remember exactly. Or it was actually more like 90s. Do what?
You worked at Best Buy during Y2K. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's funny. No, actually, it was more like 90. I think it was 97 to like 99 or something like that. But so yeah, there was a huge like, and I was in the PC home office department, PC ho, which it's funny. I was just watching, what's his name? I was watching somebody else that did a video. Hold on, I gotta find his name real quick because I gotta mention this. The Quartering. There you go. I couldn't remember his name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did a video on this, and it turns out he also worked at Best Buy in PC Home Office, which I found interesting. I'm like, oh, how about that? That's interesting. So, like, yeah, I also worked there. I worked there for several years, and anybody who's gone to Best Buy and bought a computer or a TV or anything like that, you've had to, or I haven't been there in a long time, so I don't know. But back in the day, you used to get the whole service plan pitch, right? Any of you guys familiar with that at all?
Yeah.
I think I'm too young for
I
that.
remember people coming up.
So yeah, the service plan. You it's a 3-year thing. You pay like $200 extra bucks in the case of a computer.
Oh
And,
yeah, no, that's still around. Yeah, yeah.
Right, and you get this like protection plan or whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So like that was hardcore drilled into us. There was no you didn't get an extra money. I forget what I'm getting kind of drunk now because I've had a few beers. But you get no extra money, but you gotta sell these service plans. So I was really good at it back in those days. I was really good at selling these things. And we had at the time this department that was led by a guy who was very like, he had a very shark mentality, he was like, let's go after the customers. And it was to the point where he was like, if they don't buy, if they get a computer and they don't want the service plan, which we're gonna push on them hardcore, and if you can't get them to get it, get another person, you'll double team them, right? If they don't get a computer,
I've heard of that.
oh yeah, if they don't get a computer, make them leave, like, so they don't buy one. Because it was all about the numbers. It was like this competition. Because it was like people were just buying computers. I'm telling you, like, I would go into work. I would go into
fucking leave. Fuck that shit.
That's how it was, man. Like, we were going to work every day. People would come in. They would flood the PC home office department, and they were buying Packard Bells and Compacts and HPs and E machines, all this shit, and buying service plans on them. $200 on top of everything else. If you got the full thing, it was like $200. And I was good at it, man. I was good at like scaring people into like buying the service plan. And they made me evil. Like I eventually quit.
You
But
scum.
like, yeah, it was bad. It was bad, and it got really bad. I'm telling you, it got really bad, and so
you fucking
our,
you scumbag.
no, let me tell you, our team was so tight knit. Like you've seen Wall Street, these movies. Like our team
Wolf of Wall
leader, our yeah, like you've yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Our sales team leader. He would get us together. I remember like 2 a.m. we'd get together at White Castle, and we'd like all hang out and
2
we'd
in
get White
the morning?
Castles. Oh yeah,
Ridiculous.
yeah.
Oh my
We were
God,
all
this
friends. We were all
dedicated.
friends, like in the department. We were all like cool with each other. We were all in the game, you know, computers. We were in the PC gaming and Mystery Science Theater 3000. We were all nerds, you know. We get together like 2 a.m. at White Castle. Yeah, we'd like discuss like sales, strategies and shit. It was crazy. It was crazy times, man. I can't believe I used to do that. I totally did. I was totally into it. And like
Business.
yeah, it was crazy, man. And we would fucking, I'm telling you, man, we would get people to get the service plan. They would get the gold printer cables. Then we get all the ink and the ink rechargers. And then we go to the software and we get them software. And like, if they didn't want to do it, we'd make them like leave. We'd piss them off. Like I remember this one time, this guy, he wanted the computer. He wanted the whole thing. He didn't want the service plan. And I remember I was like, oh, you don't want service plan? Blah, blah, blah. And I did all the usual things. And then, like, I went and got a buddy, and a buddy came and helped me. And we literally, like, followed this guy. Like, he was just, like, trying to avoid us and ignore us. We were just, like, pestering him. And he went to the software aisle to try to avoid us. We followed him there. And we just kept fucking giving him shit. I remember.
Dude, what the
and,
fuck?
like, he started crying. He started crying. He's like, my wife won't let me get it. I can't do it. And then his wife came in and she's like, we're leaving. And she like got him and left. And I remember like my boss like gave us a high five. It was crazy,
Wow.
man.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, oh my God.
That's
First off,
ridiculous.
that's pathetic on all fronts, yours
I
and
know.
theirs.
I know, man.
Jesus Christ, that's a sad story.
I know.
Oh,
I'm telling you,
shit.
man. That's what I'm saying. Best Buy is fucked up. It like indoctrinated us. It was crazy.
Wow.
It was, yeah. It was wild.
Poor
I
guys
eventually
probably have to
realized how
break
awful
down.
this was, and I was like, I gotta get out of this. But yeah.
Yeah, wow, Jesus. Well, by the way, what the hell does the service plan even benefit you guys for? Like, what was that even help you guys for? Like, you personally as an employee?
No, it didn't. It didn't. We got nothing for it. We got no commission or anything. And that was like a sales point. We're like, we don't get commission. And like, think about that, how fucked up that is. But like, you're
Yeah.
a kid at the time. You don't really know any difference.
That's kind of
And like,
scary.
right, it's fucked up. And like, like we're not on commission. You can trust us, you know?
We're NPCs.
And they really push. They would have these morning meetings where they'd really push that really hard every morning.
God
And
damn.
like, yeah, and I was like, I don't know, there's something about me. I was just really into computers, and so I was really into talking to people about computers and like anything to do with computers and software, and so I was like really into that. So like that would sell people on it. You know what I mean? They'd be like really into it too. Could I get them into it? I didn't see it that way at the time, but like that's like looking back on it, that's what it was.
Yeah. You
And
know,
like,
man,
Won't even like
yeah, that-
once while you're
bam,
playing
service
this
fee.
bad boy.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, man. I could like. I remember when the e-machines came around. I was like, or not the the e-machines and like the what were the Emacs? And I'm like, I was a PC guy, and the Emacs, you know, the colored CRT Apple computers, and people wanted them, and I'm like, you don't want this. You want this HP.
man,
It was crazy, man. I remember this one time the guy, he didn't want the service plan, and he followed me because I was like pestering him, and they followed me back around to the counter to like check out, and he was like, he's threatening to slap me, and I was like, go for it, man, go do it, slap me.
Oh my
And like,
God.
oh yeah, and then I pissed him off so bad he just left. He was like fuck this, you know, and he said he was gonna complain about me. And I was like, go for it, man. Go up there. Go up to the service desk. Complain. And then, like, he went to the service desk. He said some words and then left. and then I went the sales manager, of Best Buy and the PCO Monster came back and got me. He's like, "Go to the back, meet me back there." And I went and I walked back there. I waited for him. He came back. He's like, "Did you say this to this customer? Did you say that and this and that?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Good job." He shook my hand.
Wow, dude. See, this is why
100% happened. That happened.
this is why I believe it. Holy I mean, because I've seen it before too. Like, but not that crazy. Like, holy shit, dude. Fuck that.
It was wild, man. There was some crazy. Best Buy was the craziest place I ever worked.
God damn, dude.
Hands down. I have so many crazy stories for that place. It was wild.
How long were you there for?
From 97 to probably 99.
Oh, so this is the night. Okay.
Yeah, and then I started going to Ohio State, and then I went to the Air Force.
Man.
Yep.
You're a real piece of work. You know that?
I know, man. It really was. It's like, hey, you're a kid. You don't know any better, man. You're just sort of like my interest in the whole thing really was just computers, but like there was this whole thing attached to it working at Best Buy. You know what I mean? It's hard to say. At the time, I think there was something going on at the time.
They just corrupted you. Like
no, like computer sales, home computer sales were exploding like never before at that time. We were just unloading like probably 50 or more, 100 computer systems a day. Like whole systems with monitors and service plans. Man, tons of money going out.
Yeah. I mean, I was about 10 years younger, but yeah, I remember crazy computer tech was developing. It still is. Like by the
Well, I know, but that was the boom. That was the beginning for home users.
How do you think you would how do you think you would sell it to people now?
Well, you don't really have to sell it anymore. I think that's a big part of it. Like people just come in.
No, hypothetically speaking, okay, like if you were working at Best Buy and somebody asked you about it, do you think you would treat them as not the same, but like,
oh no, knowing what I know now and going in now, I could not do it. I just wouldn't be able to do it. I couldn't work a job like that anymore. It's not possible.
All right, I'm out, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Actually, it's getting kind of late. We've been dragging on for a long time here, but
it's all good.
We can hang out here and still chat, but I'm gonna end the stream. So I appreciate everybody on Rumble who's been watching, and we're gonna keep doing this. I think every Thursday. So we'll put the link in the description and in the comments. And if you want to join us, feel free. And until next time, thank you.
All right. Oh. Okay. All right. I'm done. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for tuning in, and bye bye.